front of you when the cop pull you over. You know what I'm saying? They slay you. Look, the holiday, they bullwhipped you with the goddamn with all the presents. You were sweating to death, had to get all them presents. Well, your woman was gonna put you out, wasn't she? If you didn't show her with your, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is cold-blooded. I'm holy Lord mercy. This is in writing, y'all. This is in writing.
Yes, brother. Go to school on the first day of class and see those sisters bring those little boys in there. They dress them like the boyfriends that they want, but they treat them like brother AI.
Like their daddy.
Exactly. They treat them exactly like what you read. So we get boys dressed like gangsters and thugs, but emotional and screaming. Remember, I got four adult daughters, and their number one complaint to me is, Dad, these dudes too emotional. I never heard you yell at Mom. I never heard you raise your voice too much at us. But as soon as we get into discussion, these dudes want to yell and scream. So, it's exactly what the brother's reading, and we see it manifesting every day.
And I just want to add, it's a bit like how, they come up on the panel when we're giving truth, when we're giving actually facts and evidence, what they can go and look and research for, but they come up all so emotional, and we don't even get to the point to show them where this facts and evidence is, because this is what it's all about. We're not up here just talking. We're showing you in the book what we're seeing.
As soon as they get frustrated, brother, in the conversation, they go to yelling, they go to screaming, they go to getting disrespectful and emotional, right?
Yep.
And then when we're shouting at them, getting frustrated with them because we're trying to wake them up, just like how you would try and wake up a brother or a friend that's going down the wrong road. You ain't gonna be talking all calm and all nice and don't do that. You're gonna be shouting, screaming. You might even get physical because that's your brother. You don't want your brother to go down the wrong road. So this is what they gotta understand too.
Yeah, it's like if you in the passenger seat and you see the person driving fall asleep behind the wheel. You're not gonna tap them nicely and be like, "Hey, bro, wake up." No, you're gonna shake like, "Nigga, wake up." You know what I'm saying? You behind the wheel. You fell asleep behind the wheel. And the problem with weak men is, you can't give correction to a sister when you're a weak person. And so therefore, a lot of the things that they can use correction in, they don't get the proper correction either. And so in not getting a correction without knowing it, according to this game plan, they eating out of the master's hand. They eating out of his hand because that was the plan. When you can't control your man, call the police. Don't talk to him. Don't try to get an understanding of what he going through. If you break up with somebody you got a baby with and you don't see eye to eye with them, take them to court. Take them to child support court. You're eating out of the master's hand. So there's correction that needs to be done on both ends. But when it comes to the social media and when it comes to the public perception, only the men are the ones that's been broken. No, this system was designed to break both of us simultaneously. They broke us first in front of you so that you can lose respect for us. Then they turn around while you in your independent state and broke you so that you can raise future men to be broken out the womb.
That reminds me of the scripture, brother. You don't take the righteous to the unrighteous for judgment.
Right.
You taking a king and you gonna throw me down, you know what I'm saying, and put them folks in our business, and they ain't righteous at all. You taking the righteous to the unrighteous for judgment. And that's what kills our people.
Right. Because then the square dude, the one with the job, the one that ain't exciting, is the one who ends up in the courtroom. The nigga that ain't own nothing, that got babies everywhere, is the one they end up chasing after. I see it all. It happens all the time. They're going after the wrong dude. Why? Because this is not our natural state. This is not our doings. This is a plan that's been devised since 1640 that they said in 1640, if done properly for 1 year, would self-perpetuate for over 300 years, maybe thousands.
That's fact. And I just want to add too, you know, they're doing it. This is happening because I'm somebody, I don't like to hear stories. So I'm talking about facts. Now, there's an 8-year-old and the 8-year-old is disrespecting her parents. And you know what the 8-year-old is saying? You can't hit me. You can't discipline me because if you do that, you're in trouble. And this is actual facts that we can't even discipline an 8-year-old. Well, not me, because any of my kids did no, that's not happening. But this is what's happening in reality.
You're so right, brother. they done weaponize the educational system against us and our children. But then, like I tell a parent, man, when I teach brothers and sisters, listen, you get their little behinds from the age of do you understand me? And they nod their head till about 5 years old. If you handle your business from that age to about 5, because see, 5 is when they're gonna go into the system. But if you done put the strap on them and you done the things, you done let them know that you will take them within an inch of their life before the age of 5, you ain't gonna have no problem.
And see, and part of the problem with the corporal punishment aspect is a lot of the way that it was being administered was kind of mimicking the slave master whipping our people. So you had a lot of parents taking out their anger and frustrations in how they whoop their kids. It wasn't out of love and out of correction. It was out of frustration, out of anger. And that's one thing that I always said to myself, I never discipline my child while I'm angry. Because at the end of the day, I want them to understand the message more so than to be afraid of me.
Brother, you so right. You so right.
But hold on. Remember, forgive them for they know not what they do. These people were ignorant. They didn't have the understanding we blessed with now. So what they did, was what the best they could do, and what was done to them. They're products of their environment.
Exactly,
remember,
brother. Exactly.
No doubt. That's why I said it. We make these statements, but you still got to deal with the finer points of it. Is corporal punishment wrong? No. If you got to give correction to your child to save them from doing something that could harm them worse than that ass whooping, give them the ass whooping. But don't do it while you at the top of your anger, because that's still a child. You could hurt that child.
Right. And I agree with both of you, brother. I had to reckon with that with my parents, especially my mother, man. Her hard, stern hand was a result of my grandmother's hard, stern hand. And her hard, stern hand was a result of my grandmother's mother's. So you right, Abi, and you right, dear brother. It's learned behavior and it's passed down. So look, I told my children, I said, listen, I'm gonna do the best I can. I've always done the best I can because they're all adults now. But what worked, apply it to your children. Yeah. What didn't work, and you felt that your dad made mistakes, don't you do it. Don't repeat that. Right. But as I tried not to do with my parents, man, the way I felt my parents. But I understand that my mother was a product of her mother. Go ahead, dear brother. What great topic.
No, that's because, I grew up, you might get whooped with an extension cord. You might get whooped with a switch. You might get whipped with I remember plenty of times me and my little brother sitting up comparing welts. Like, he'd be like, damn, what's that?
Bring it back to the story.
I had that one.
Listen, my mother hit me with a extension cord one time behind my head, right behind my earlobe. And my father wasn't a beater. And my dad came home, man, he was like, Lorraine, you can't do that. This is in the 70s now. I was born in 67. So this was the early 70s. And my father, girl, you better never hit these kids ever again with no extension cord. They're going to put your behind in jail. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, bro, that brings vivid memories to you, brother.
Hey, you got to look at it like, is a setup for disaster. They needed they needed people to put in these jails. So we the very people that they taught this abusive behavior to. We the very people that were raised thinking this was normal, so it was in us and it shouldn't be. They remember the Willie Lynch letter, they turned us inside out. They turned us away from our real nature. So that's why I said again, is the spiritual information. It's spiritual. Right. They made us from spiritual people to carnal people. fleshly people, made us fear the flesh, and made our parents fear the flesh. Because we could go back in time, we would not beat our kids. We would not stop our ass whippings. We would
respond on that too, Rock.
You know,
They-
a lot of
and they
us just
switched
needed
it.
our fathers back.
And they switched it, bro. They switched it to make us, they made it a law that what we couldn't. The stuff that they was doing to us, they switched it now as made it a law to where we couldn't discipline our kids. We had to be locked up, but we had it was a crime to actually discipline your child with a switch or a belt. So they switched what they was doing to us.
Yeah,
That's what's
bro,
happening
you
right
can't- They shut
You
down
know why
my
they switched
live.
it, right? Go ahead.
They shut down my live from reading the word from their playbook that's about us. So that just to show you what you're saying is correct. Everything that they did that was proper when they was doing it, when we do it, now it's being turned against us. But we learn how to do it from them.
But you know what, brother? Let me share this with you real quick, brother Warrior. The spankings and the whippings that we got, our parents, in some cases, in those cases, they felt that they was doing it right, because you gotta understand something, man. Our people was like, listen, I will kill you before you get out in the streets and kill yourself. So a lot of times they was putting that strong strap down on us to prevent us from going out there and partaking in the streets, because the streets gonna kill you quickly, brothers. And y'all know Chicago, bro. You know, I came up 90 miles from Chicago. What? South Central Los Angeles, brothers and sisters. So our parents was like, nigga, I'm gonna do something to you before, you know what I mean? To put the fear in you, because if you don't put the fear in young black boys, and it did go overboard, you understand, brother?
But that's because of the system. We underforced that type of understanding and behavior on us. We did that by as trying to survive. We developed that as a tactic, as a survival tactic, you know. So we like, no, I need to do anything by any means necessary, like the slave masters was thinking. Whip, whip, whip. Do what I said. You're gonna listen no matter what. But it's really
Right.
to steer us away from speaking and understanding and gaining more wisdom. Life is the best teacher. You know, that's why I fought with this, but thanks to y'all Jew, and I'm holding on to spiritual wisdom, and I'm holding on to the high thought that's God. I find I'm gonna always lean towards positivity, because I agreed at first, because it wasn't until I had my own children when I realized why my mom spanked me. But no, if I could go back, I would take away certain spankings. It was not necessary. Learn to communicate. It is a challenge for yourself. Control yourself. It does not fall under fruits of the spirit to spank your ass. You know, certain things
what?
like
You
that.
just
I'm
hit
happy
on-
I'm learning.
You just hit on a real dope point. I recall several whoopings that I got that I didn't need the whooping to get the point that I had messed up.
Me too.
Many of whoopings that I got, I was like, I got the point before the whooping. So the whooping wasn't really necessary as much as it was a tradition. You know, and it wasn't like I was doing, because it's a difference between making a mistake and going against something you know better. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do something for the just say, for instance, I went on the other block to hang with my friends, but I didn't ask permission. Well, I never did that before, so I didn't know that was grounds for an ass whooping. I just thought I was playing. Well, no, you know, you're supposed to be whoop-de-whoop, so, you know, and okay, I get it. I won't do it again. Well, we already halfway there. We might as well go ahead with this, get this ass whooping out the way. Like, what?
Mama.
What? I still get the whooping. Okay.
A mentality that was forced upon us for sure.
Yeah.
Conditionalizing. I was raised by my great grandmother, and I was abused. I was abused to the degree to where there was no understanding, and I did everything I could to try to please mama. And no matter how hard I tried to please mama, it didn't line up to what her rant or her control or what she feel was effective enough to abuse me. And so I got beat for things that I never did wrong, that my brother was always doing wrong on top of that. You know, so the idea I had when I had my children was I scare my children. Like, I put the fear in them, but because I was a beat and abused, I never like to put my hands on them. And so I would tell them, you're gonna get your ass whooped. You know, so they'll get a butt whooping for something they really did really bad, but it wouldn't be it'll be a butt whooping that they will remember, so I wouldn't have to whoop their ass again. I would hit them enough to let them know that I'm not playing with you no more. And that's all the time I had to really whoop them. Every time then I just grabbed the belt, be like, don't make me have to You know, don't make me have to. And then after you discipline them, you have to wait until the fuse go down and you go back and you talk with them. And you explain to them what they did wrong and what you expect of them and why you did what you did and so on and so forth. So the positive reinforcement has to come after, you know, the discipline on top of that.
But you know what's so cold-blooded about being a captive and not being in your natural state and in your natural environment is given an estate. Just say all of the men on the panel, we have our estate. We got acres. We have freedom. We're not under the regime that we under now. Our kids get out of line, you ain't got to whoop them. Go out there and chop some wood. You know, go out there and till some land. You're gonna do all of the harvesting, but like there's other ways that the punishment can actually lend to teaching, as opposed to a wedge between the teacher and the student. Because at the end of the day, you whoop your kids when you tired of talking to them, but if you send them to school and your teacher put their hands on them for the exact same thing, it's a problem. So that alone lets you know that the physical part is as a result of the condition we was in. The lack of resources. We stacked on top of each other. We in the projects. We don't own, if you go outside and the police see you with your behavior, they could hurt you worse than I could. So everything we was doing was a reaction to, like Art said, to this system that we had been wedged in. You got kings and queens being wedged into a system where they being tested on every level to see what it's going to take for them to submit. We talking about raising our kids under submission.
Well, you know what, brother? I can say that we're all in this together. But we all know and we all can touch and agree that causing physical harm to our children just ain't it. You know what I mean? In no way, shape, or form, causing physical harm to our children just ain't it. And we can give our children consequences and repercussions without physically breaking their spirit and causing them pain. You know what I'm saying? So we can agree upon that. Praise the Most High that we've come to that understanding now.
I definitely.
I just wanted to ask a question to the gentleman in the middle who was reading the book, if that's
Yes,
okay. As you were reading the book, I was listening. Do you believe that in a way to reverse the damage that this book has done, it will be righteous to start from the centerpiece of the puzzle, which is the female?
I think putting our sister back in her rightful place and her respectful place is at the center of it. But in order to do that, it's going to take a real man. It's going to take real men. And what I mean by real man is exactly what we're doing right now, to be able to have a difficult conversation without discourse, and to be able to show that we stand for something that actually is going to bring a better tomorrow or future for her children. Her meaning the queen, the Black queen, the woman, the centerpiece of the home. When we can show that we can provide safety and security, and that we're willing to put our lives on the line for something that actually means something, then they can begin to trust us again. But right now, as we reading, that trust was broken.
So for lack of better words, to build on what the brother AI is saying, when we're moving in unison in the spirit of truth, following the Most High, following the Anointed One, then our sisters gonna fall in line.
Yeah, and I wanted to add, when everybody's talking about the whooping, it was like everybody was, coming from different backgrounds of how they thought maybe it was fair, it wasn't fair. I come from like a Jamaican, my grandparents were Jamaican, and I know my mom and my uncles, they used to really get some deep whoopings, They were really happy about it, and I could see how it affected some. Me, I got whoopings too, and even in Jamaica, I went to school in Jamaica for a year in the 90s, and they used to beat you in school there too. If you didn't do your work, which I didn't do my work a lot, so they used to beat you just for that. But the whole point, when everybody was discussing what they're discussing, it was like that balance. And this is why we need a government, so we can discuss things like this. And it was just beautiful just to hear everybody's opinion and how we was, breaking it down to what is the right measurement. And the beautiful thing is that we have the right measurement here with us. Yarju Judah is the correct measurement. This is why we're all on a panel discussing things that need to be discussed. Because there's other people out there suffering in silence and they don't have no one to talk to. And even if they do come and talk to someone, it could be one of those, foolish people that come on our panels and crucify us for what we're talking about, which is truth. So yeah, I just wanted to time in with that.
Real quick before you go, this generation, a lot of them don't know Willie Lynch. So like the Bible, revealing the truth to the chosen generation through the Bible, same action with the Willie Lynch letter, revealing the truth to the chosen generation with the Willie Lynch letter is going to have the same effect. It's going to undo the spell because we able to see how it was done to us. That way we can do the reverse engineering process. We just got to have that faith in each other. Like, to me, it's already done, like, in God's name. That's a fact. I'm happy you brought this to the table, though, brother, and keep bringing it up. Like, keep bringing this up all the way through March if you have to, because this needs to be revealed just as well, like, alongside with the Bible, because people got to see what they did to specifically us. And I feel like it was done to us first, and then all nations was brought down into it. Like, the first test experiment was us, the most spiritual people. They made us fleshly, and the project is exactly what it is. A project is all a setup. Remember I told y'all I felt like the rat looking at out the top of the maze? Like, how we gonna get out of this? Like, yeah, I feel like this whole thing is a setup. We all victims of our environment. We all reflections of our environment. Even we can't avoid it. You live next to the ice cream shop and the Chinese food restaurant, and you 5 miles away from the hospital, so you unhealthy by setup. And it wasn't your setup. The communities are set up like this. Then the finances are set up to you end up in one of these communities like this on purpose, and so forth, so on. We have to rebuild our own structure that is the opposite of this monstrosity. And that's simple. Starts with unity, the most powerful thing known to man under God.
And what's cold-blooded about that is this Willie Lynch, this is their Bible. So all we doing is comparing apples to oranges because this is their Bible. They gave us the King James Bible.
Yes, sir. And let's look at the time frame of this letter.
Yeah, but they gave you the Bible to stay quiet while they rule. They hold the Bible to rule.
Let me ask you this, and it's maybe somebody can answer this. Who can read the holy scriptures in the Bible and then tar and feather and tear apart a man?
Exactly.
Didn't recognize what they read. They just said we're going to use this to separate them from how spiritual they are and get them to be fleshly like us.
Who can read the scriptures about being righteous and test a woman that's not their wife in every way possible to see how she gonna submit?
People that weren't reading it. People that weren't reading it.
That's because this is
listening to an indoctrination, dear brother. They weren't reading nothing. They weren't reading anything. They were sitting there listening to somebody just as racist as they were, indoctrinate them and tell them, you understand, and justify those type of things. They weren't reading those scripts. But let me say this though, getting back. Let's look at the time frame of that letter, bro.
1640.
Okay. The Americas weren't even really in formation yet. So that was a letter written by someone from across the waters, maybe like Britain or somebody, written to the West Indies that was more populated and more set up at the time. You feel what I'm saying?
In the beginning of the book, he say that he came to this book he wrote coming from the West Indies as a slave owner to teach them his ways in America.
Exactly. And who owned the West Indies? The crown.
Yeah, and it said in the beginning too.
Yeah, I have the letter as well, brother. That's why I wanted to make that point clear to the brothers and sisters. That was something that the Americas would have a blueprint of something that was already being worked in the West Indies and in Britain and in Europe and in France and throughout the Iberian Peninsula. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because look, if America is the most powerful country and the most influential country, and this was written in 1640 to establish slavery before the Declaration of Independence, before the Constitution and all of those things, then that lets you know that America built its wealth on this system, developed itself on this system, and then passed this system around to all them countries you name in order to get the same results.
The discovery of Americas, they said, was by Christopher Columbus in 1642.
Yeah, and listen, I'm in Great Britain. So if you know anything about Great Britain, they're gonna plan and strategize and plot before they make a move. This was one of the biggest sieges in history, one of the biggest invasions. So it's like this book is like their Bible. This is like their prophecy. You know, that's their prophecy.
Like
They studied and
a group of
psychoanalyzed us.
intellectual.
That's what
a
they
group
did.
of-
They go ahead, brother.
Sorry. A group of intellectuals sat together and purposely designed this book on purpose.
That's the
That's the
point.
only way you can put it.
They psycholizing. Remember before they decided to come up with this plan of how to take. Remember what they were doing. Just imagine these individuals was looking at our greatness, our mightiness, our beautiful women, our strengths, our power, our wealth, our stability, and how it's all based behind a spiritual connection to something. So they psychically analyzed us and utilized our cultural ways to genocide against us, to turn ourselves against us, and to order to control us under their reign. We allowed them in our villages. We allowed them amongst us. We welcomed these people at a point in time. And this is how the jealous side of them became. Oh my God, are you serious? They have this, they have that. So they devised a plan. Remember all of the wealth that was under this kingdomship and royal kingdomship that's been passed down from what was that, Timbuktu, and all those stories we know. That we were shining. They were like, well, so what is up with these? And look at their soldiers, and we most definitely can't beat them this way. We got to figure out a way. So they psychically analyzed us and came up with a clever plan to overthrow us. It took time and study.
That's beautiful.
Well, they came with a book that represent. In that book, there was somebody that represented the Bible.
Okay,
And they used
so
that book.
I think this book probably next time needs to come with a trigger warning. I'm saying, man, this is some heavy reality. This ain't no hocus pocus. This is the reality. So I'm gonna continue reading because we still got a little bit more to go.
Hey, real quick, I just wanted to reference that in the Christopher Columbus story in 1642. This is why he was going up and down the Bahamas, and this is his slave trade. This is the real Atlantic slave trade story. It's not really to the Americas. This is what they were doing from the Bahamas. This is why his sailing chart only got to the goddamn Bahamas. Now he was doing his reenactment of the Bible up and down these goddamn islands as he was renaming them. I mean, I played the insert the other day. This is what he was doing. He was reenacting the Bible. He was gashing babies on rocks. He was feeding them to dogs. He was cutting women's breast off. He was doing all types of, and they dubbed him one of the greatest American heroes. Now you understand why. This is Willie Lynch 101, and Christopher Columbus is one of their greatest heroes that actually did the playbook.
Under the impression that Willie Lynch was a black man that experienced this. Am I bugging?
All right, y'all want to keep going?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna start at the last sentence of the last paragraph. For fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent as well. What have you got? You got the N-word woman out front and the N-word man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. So when we up here arguing, going back and forth, they sleeping easy.
And you know what that also
That I read that
brother?
spiritually.
That
I
last
read that
paragraph.
spiritually and put us to sleep. Sorry.
No, it's okay, my brother. I just want to comment on that last paragraph he just read. That's why when we see blue lights behind us, we automatically, you know what I'm saying, get scared, go to check it out, thinking if we got any warrants, you know what I'm saying, because of that conditioning right there.
Correct. You know what I'm saying? Do I got my seatbelt on? Do I got some weed on me? How do I look? You start examining yourself just by, and they drive past you, your heart rate go down. You get back to normal. And this is called living. Okay, anyway, last paragraph on page 19. Before the breaking process, we had to be alert and on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early infant slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. Page 20. By the time an N-word boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage N-words by throwing the N-word female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency, by unaliving the protective male image, and by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the N-word male slave, and I'm saying N-word, not inwardly, but N-word male slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless, dun, 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 here comes Yaju Judah. We have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female savages.
There it is.
Had to create something to block that. The CIA, correct?
Yes, sir. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. So even in all of this that they was doing, like my brother said, when it comes to the Brits, they gonna plan and they gonna know the ins and outs of what they getting into. So even in getting into all of this demonic planning and that they was doing, they understood that the spirit of the Negro, as they called us, was so strong that they had to keep their foot on the gas, because if not, unless a phenomenon occurs, they didn't go into detail what the phenomenon is. And when I read this book back in the day, I didn't know what the phenomenon was either. And that's why when we read these things now, it has much more of a spiritual connotation to it, because we understand that they knew the lie that they was telling us. They knew they reversed our roles and was breaking us from our natural state. They understood this, but they also understood unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female savages. Page 21.
These are the same people that classified us as Negroids.
This is them.
It's actually lesser than cattle. And also the shift into the LBGQ is actually LBT, whatever you call those people. It's actually an agenda.
Yeah, they created super predators and then they held it against us.
Yep.
Page 21.
Sorry, AI. That part there where it said the woman will stand guard.
Yes, sir.
That part is like, I don't know if everybody's seeing what's happening right now. The woman will stand guard. That's someone in your own household. And it goes like that scripture. I don't know what scripture it is, but where it says like mother will be against father and father against mother and this and that. And that's like the, you know, the indoctrination, all the false idol worshiping, all these different gods. That's dividing us when there's only one and true God. That's why there's one mediator between God and mankind. So we should be all worshiping this one God. So with all these religions out here, that should show you already that that's confusion. And God is not the God of confusion. But yeah, sorry, brother, man, you can go ahead.
No, that's perfect.
Add this too. You know, when he says the woman should stand guard, you know, that brings me back to, that's why they don't put brothers in the bank.
And you know what? If you really think about it, this is why the submission to Yaju Judah as Christ is a necessary component of the movement. Because without that submission to the will of the Father and the order of the Father, without that, anybody can kind of come along, and it happened with every movement. It happened with Marcus Garvey movement. It happened with the Black Panthers. There's always somebody that can come in and infiltrate a movement and then send information back to the oppressor that throws off the movement itself. Same thing with Fred Hampton. There's always somebody on the inside that's able to report back, and then the movement crumbles.
That's why I was so happy when y'all brothers came up with the idea of making people sign these contracts as if they were part of any other special government organization, and making people being held accountable under the very rules and laws and regulations that we do have while we're under the authority of this beast. So that was very important what y'all had did. So to alleviate and to get rid of those who can infiltrate and be able to do so, because they'll be held to a certain standard, and a certain standard to where they can be sued, or even criminal actions can be brought up against them for their actions.
Mm-hmm. That Saints Pledge, that's what you're talking about. The Saints Pledge, and then because again, you know, when you have to submit to the Father through the Son, if you're not really about that life, it's going to expose itself quickly. You can't. Now, some people might be able to fake it longer than others, but at the end of the day, you can't fake that. You can't. It's gonna come out. It's gonna reveal its ugly head. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, so unless somebody else wanted to chime in, because I, you know, got a couple more little pages and then we done.
Yeah, I want to go back to just real quick a reference of how they applied fear and hate. Remember, this is their application in the beginning of what they said. This is how they applied. This is the means in which they use fear and hate. Remember why they use fear. Okay, you'll fear the authority. Okay, this is what we do. We fear the authority. We hate what? We hate each other, and this is their like psychology of it, and this is why they made the roles different. It's like this internal battle that you don't know that they're making you do. See what I'm saying? This is why you ever, you know, like there was a point in time, this is between the 80s and 90s. It's like step on a brother's shoe and see if all hell don't break out. Step on someone's shoe? I mean, the type of hate that we used to look at each other. I mean, it's died down a little bit more now, but man, it was like it was on 1,000 in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like DC. Hey, Eddie would know this. There were people that was in the garbage can, y'all, like every day, and it was nothing but brothers and sisters. It was madness.
And another thing I want to point out is I noticed they wanted us to be far away from the mindset where we could rescue ourselves. For example, if the so-called black man learns to bow to himself, one of his brothers, then the whole world could learn that too. but they put us in a situation where we don't respect the black man. The black man is to be forgotten, and the attention is on the black woman, who's then twisting it. You get me?
That stemmed from when the drugs came in, got rid of the fathers, getting the men incarcerated, you know, the time of gangbanging and what the injustice was, and all these things was taking place. These people have been on an agenda from the very jump street of the doorway, man. And I'm so happy to be with brothers like y'all to put a stop to these things. These stories I done heard throughout history, through my family and stuff, and of how these people done, the things I have witnessed, the things that we all have seen. It's time for some justice. I'm so motivated by what we're doing, man.
Yeah, and you know what? That's why they gave us a weak king. You know, that's why they showed you about Haile Selassie, because he was the one that ran to Great Britain for 5 years while his people were suffering and going through a war. That's not a true king. But King Tedros II, you don't know about King Tedros II.
Right.
Why do you know about King Tedros II? Because he was a real king that sat on the Solomonic dynasty. And he wouldn't stand for those things. This is why he lost his life. But
Yeah,
they gave...
a real king gonna go down with his ship.
Correct.
A real captain gonna go down with the vessel, and that's the only way that you're gonna get the vessel.
Yeah, that was beautiful, Saint, pointing out the mockery, because they mock us in so many ways and make us glorify the mockery and even turn it into holidays and so on. So we don't even realize the mockery and how they really mock us so much. It's crazy.
Yep.
I wanted to piggyback off of what Danny was saying to Brother Ayah before you go too far.
No, go ahead.
Also, y'all, I want y'all to see where when you was reading about, they also used the fear of God towards the people too. We have to also look at how the will of God is actually set up, and the things that they actually misprint or you know, kind of twisted, should I say, to make us fear stuff like, I'm gonna just use like burning in hell and stuff like that. So I think that's a real powerful way of, you know, using us to be able to control us within the fear of God. And we know that we have Yaju here now, and we know it's a totally different outlook on what they was actually pushing down our ancestors' throat, you know. Them are playing.
Sure. And I just want to add this, family. You know, just a great time. And I just thank the Most High for his timing, because no man knew the time or the hour that he's doing his work right now, where we have 5, 6 generations. You know, I like to say that my generation and up is the last generation to actually be able to see and feel what went on in the late 60s and 70s. And we can share that with our brothers and sisters that are, we got young brothers and sisters, a part of the sainthood, that are in their 20s, man. And a lot of us are old enough to be their parents and grandparents, and we can all share dialogue and share experiences. And this letter that the brother's reading is real time for me, because I have it. I taught on it, you know, and we can share all these things so that we can build the Most High's kingdom. And those brothers and sisters that are coming up behind us will have a solid, firm foundation of where we came from, and that we won't ever repeat those things. And the new kingdom will be in good hands as we hand it over to the Most High willing, my grandson, that the Most High is going to bless us with, that'll be born here in March of the new coming year. So I'm just so grateful to the Most High for doing what he's doing and allowing us to have this dialogue. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Definitely. And that definitely is why you'll hear me say often, it's important to me to bridge the gap between the old and the young. Because even early in the book, that's one of the first things that they attacked. He said it was because it started with the letter A, but the first thing he mentioned attacking was the age. Turn the old against the young and the young against the old. You know? And so for us to be, like you said, different generations and age groups, to be able to come under this young man, Yaju Judah, and accept him as Christ, and then that acceptance still step into our leadership capacity, you know, in and of itself is miraculous. I don't know what these people be looking for when they say, what miracles have he done? But in my opinion, coming out of this that we reading right now, and to be able to sit on a panel like this with some strong leadership and all be able to say our heads is not covered and still be in our strong manhood and respect women, respect children, that's a miracle to me.
Miracle. It's a miracle. One of my favorite little young brothers is Levan. He's young enough to be my son. It's a blessing to be able to sit. It's a miracle for young to be able to sit with the old now and to be able to respect each other and have respectful conversations. So yes, sir, brother, I agree with you.
So now the Negro Marriage Unit. We done broke the buck. No, we ain't break the buck. We broke the leadership, killed them. I'm sorry, TikTok, unalived the leadership, broke the player, broke the buck, took the woman through everything she needed to go, tested her in every way to a point of submission, and now we're going to introduce them to marriage afterwards. So what they say about marriage, the Negro Marriage Unit. We breed 2 N-word males with 2 N-word females. We breed them now. Then we take the N-word males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say to the N-word female bears a N-word female and the other bears a N-word male. Both N-word females being without influence of the N-word male image, frozen in an independent psychological, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. The one with the N-word male offspring, she being frozen in a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these 2 offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning.
You know what, brother, man? Like me, I'm okay. I heard everything you said, but I just feel like that needs to be repeated, man. I just think that was the soul code. It's like just watching another prophecy being unfolded.
It's deep, bro. Trigger warning. It's deep.
Saint Shiva's done this.
All right, I'm gonna read it again. Page 21. And it just struck me while I was sitting here looking at this that the name of this is the Willie Lynch letter, but it really, if you break it down, it's the will lie. Anyway, the Negro Marriage Unit. We breed 2 N-word males into 2 N-word females. Then we take the N-word males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say to the N-word female bears a N-word female and the other bears a N-word male. Both, I'm gonna just say black because the N-word I don't want to confuse anybody. When I'm saying N-word or when I'm saying black, just know that the word that they use is the derogatory N-word. Both black females being without the influence of the black male image, frozen with an independent psychology. Oh, and let me just point to, just a little sidebar. Notice in 1640 in this book, nowhere did they call us black. Let's be clear on that. That's why I can replace the N-word with the word black because there's nowhere in this book that they call us black. Just wanted to point that out. We breed the 2 black males with the 2 black females. Then we take the black males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say to the black female bears a black female and the other bears a black male. Both black females being without the influence of the black male image, frozen in an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. And in parentheses, it says, We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate her at will. Meaning she's actually powerless unless we're using her as a tool over her people. The one with the black male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning.
Big bro, that's the DNA and RNA. They understood with the RNA how to genetically pass on these type of traumas and things to the next generation.
That's exactly what's going on right now in the States. Literally, what they predicted is still going on. The plan is still on. And you can see how these women are turning on each other. Is wow. I think this book should be read and should be spread without shame at all.
I feel more like it's done. It has been done, and this society is the result of it, you know, and it's sad.
Exactly.
And it needs to be
Perfect.
brought awareness to again. You're right. I just mentioned it in the supermarket. I told everybody in the supermarket, if you haven't heard of Willie Lynch, let it get it and read it.
Yeah.
Brother AI, did you pick that up at Barnes and Noble? Because I'm headed there right now, brother. It's really got my attention.
I probably got it off of Amazon, but I've had it for years.
You know, you can actually get the PDF. You can actually get it offline, the real original PDF, if you look it up online.
Okay, so it'll be better to get it offline and get it from Barnes and Noble. That's what y'all saying.
I mean, if you don't want to have to pay for it, I'm just telling you that you could get it offline.
Just Google it, brother Troy.
They have people that have it Google. You can get the PDF format of it
And print it out.
and the
Oh, yeah,
actual
cool.
original letter itself too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So
How we are masters of the spiritual at root and understanding and wisdom, these people are truly masters of the carnal. And they're wicked by nature. And it's just crazy. The duality is just uncanny.
they will lie. They will lie. Page 22, warning in bold letters, possible interloping negatives. Whoa, that's a big word. Possible interloping negatives. What could this be? Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the black in their wild or natural state. Remember, I'm replacing the N-word with black too. The horse and the black in their wild and natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and the female savages, we had created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless phenomenon occurred and reshifted the position of the male and female savages. Now, for some reason, I got an asterisk near this. This must be something. What does it say? Our excerpts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon.
It went out. Your mic went off.
Off. Come on.
Your mic is muted. AI.
Someone. Let's write in the comment. Mic is mute.
Oh,
Mic.
I think my phone was ringing. I'll reread it.
Oh yeah, sure.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it says our experts want now. Who are the experts? I just certain little shit that be said, I just can't coax over it because it just jump out at me. But it says our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring. For they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. If it can touch some substantial original historical base, and they advise us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon or illusions so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating balls in a vacuum.
So profound right there, bro. If y'all didn't hear that right there, the spell worship, and if y'all didn't hear the manipulation right there, I don't know what to tell you. That's a cold one.
It sounded like religion,
I
bro.
didn't hear it. My son
They
walked
full-
in. Can you reread it for me, brother? AI?
Yeah.
Reread
Yeah.
it, brother.
Definitely, because
They
they
was
foresaw this.
cold-blooded, boy. Oh my God, they was vicious. I'm gonna read it again.
Brother, reread it. Reread it.
Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time if it can touch some substantial original historical base. And they advised, and again, who is this they? Because Willie Lynch is the one talking. He the master that's teaching the Southerners how to do this. So what experts is he talking about? Anyway, the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time if it can touch some substantial original historical base. And they advised us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon or illusions so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something akin to floating balls in a vacuum.
Correct.
Now we know how the doctrine of discovery is tied to this so strongly in this Willie Lynch letter. you can see the ties already right now.
This
Council's
reads,
agenda and what they did to bring sovereignty and power to this nation by empowering Europe. You can see how this letter played a strong part and significant twinship with the actual doctrine of discovery itself, because it has the same motive.
this reads like the Bible. This is a read like the Bible, the prophecy and everything, how they plan on, even how they could see how it could be undone, and they planning on how to make sure it's not undone. That part hurt the most. This is
But
prophetic,
brother,
like the Bible.
Brother, do you see why the siege of Magdala was so important to this?
They removed the
Mhm.
image.
Make it right.
Because that,
That's the
by
point I'm
using the
making.
siege of Magdala, by them taking our shit, they putting their own spin on it to fool the masses. They knew, they already knew that they had to have something that everybody would go along with. That's why they choose religion.
And
Now you
that's
got
why they put
everybody.
Christ. That's why they put Christ
Yes.
in the past and in the future. That's why you have
Yes.
thousands of religions trying to worship the same God, believing in the same Christ, but none of them on one accord. That's those orbits floating around, the delusions. Now it was meant for us, but like we said, we the leaders of the world. We the influence of the world. So now it's in every other country, and other people is dealing with the same illusions floating around. It's all detached from the reality. What is the reality? What did they say it was? The substantial original historical base. So when Yaju Judah comes out and say, hey, we attached to Ethiopia, guess what? That's the substantial original historical base.
Sir.
And I want to say the saints see this. You know, the saints see this, and this is why many were called, but only a few chosen. But for you to see it, you have to empty your cup and listen to what the saints and what Yaju Judah is revealing to you right now. Because this ain't even coming from the Bible. This is their book, what they wrote. They're letting you know what they done to you.
Correct. So it goes on to say, and this is all still under the possibility of interloping negatives. This creation of a multiplicity of phenomena or illusion entails the principle of crossbreeding the black and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. No, we Native American. No, we Hebrew Israelites. No. We think we everything but what we are. Why? The creation of a multiplicity of phenomena or illusion entails the principles of crossbreeding the black and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division. A diversified division? I thought diversified was already the diversified division of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for each spherical illusion. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and blacks, we shall lay down the following definitional terms for future generations. Okay. Number one, orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given pattern. Axis means upon which or around which a body turns. Phenomena means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. I wonder what we know about this happening in nowadays that's a phenomenon, meaning something beyond ordinary conception that inspires awe and wonder. Anybody can answer that? Anyone?
I can't. Let me be the first one. Let me be the first one. God coming out of the sky on a white horse.
Well, we know that ain't it. What we got going on is that's a phenomenon in these days that's out that inspires awe and wonder. Yaju Judah. Number 4, multiplicity means a great number. Number 5, spear means a globe. And 6, crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward ass, long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself.
They took the spiritual writings and also then clarified it right there and try to turn around and make us into the donkeys when they're the real donkeys that Christ ride in on.
Yes. Go ahead then, Brother Fred. You hit it on the head.
Okay, so number 7, I got an asterisk next to that. What does this mean? It says crossbreeding blacks means taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many black women as possible, varying the drops by the various tones that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appear as you desire.
The author of confusion is cold. Made sure we was gonna be scattered.
And you still got dumbasses in the chat, in the comments, they're saying stuff like that. Who the hell is in awe and wonder at Yaju Judah? Do you need us to put 12 more people on the panel, brother? Like, where are you missing? You just a floating ball in a vacuum, nigga. You an orbital ass nigga. Anyway, to all of the, what they call y'all? Dumb, backwards ass, long-headed mules. To all of y'all, dumb, backwards ass, long-headed mules in the comment, we will continue.
Facts, brother, facts.
Oh, man.
White people laugh right then and there.
What this means is this. Put the blacks and the horses in the breeding pot. Mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? You got a multiplicity of colors of ass backwards, unusual niggas running tied to backwards ass long-headed mules. The one productive of itself, the other sterile. The one constant, the other dying. We keep the N-word constant, for we may replace the mule for another tool. Both mule and black tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from and neither productive for itself, nor without each other. Page
Worst
25.
nightmare. Our worst nightmare is real. It's true. It's right here in black and white.
Oh yeah, but they not done, because now they go on to the controlled language. Crossbreeding completed. For further severance from their original beginning, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the black and the new mule and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. For example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave. For you can't fool him any longer, and having a fool is one of the basic ingredients of and incidents to making of the slavery system. Can I read that for y'all?
Yeah, so but let me respond before you do though.
Okay.
So basically that's saying that's really what they did to stop us from reading then. Can y'all answer that, yes or no? What you just said, what you just read.
Well, you know what? If you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, in my opinion, that's to me, that's to say, to infiltrate the spiritual teachings of the Bible and make them carnal, it's going to remove us from the fold.
That's why they taught us the spelling words.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
You know, I really think that in this particular part, when he's talking about infiltrating the language, and the reason why this sounds so close to scriptures is because it's double tongue. If we can infiltrate their spiritual connection to the Most High God and replace the coming of Christ in the last days with these orbiting balls, these orbiting illusions, which is the language, you know, because the language of the saint is what? To worship in spirit and in truth. So if we can get them off of the spirit and the truth and get them into the spelling words, we can infiltrate their whole spiritual system.
And at the same time, make them believe into what they think is right, but really they are only believing into what they actually are, antichrist. And this is what they're making from that whole belief system and making them love that way of life. That we just got off a panel with the same guy before you came over here, that dude Dre Day. He's a prime example of that right now.
Brother Fred, I was over there listening.
Hey, the one you was on the panel with, the dude that you came up just right before we start doing now.
Oh, you talking about on my panel?
Yeah, that dude Dre.
He's a prime example of that right there, of what they actually have done to him with all those delusional bouncing balls.
Correct.
Ask you this. Let me add this, family. Could those balls be the different religions? Because the different religions, they all believe the same thing, and it's got us bouncing in between these different religions, and they all believe that something gonna crack the sky. Go ahead. What you think?
Absolutely, you're right. It's the deception, it's the religion, it's the anthropology, it's the history, it's the times, it's all of the deception. It's actually what that has given them. That's the spell.
Yeah, it's like an onion, man. What they letting us know is they've hit us with so many different layers of deception that once you peel back one layer, it's just gonna lead to more deception unless you coming from a position of absolute understanding. And that's what we're doing right now, is we reading about all of this from a position of understanding. So now the layers is getting peeled back.
They throw this in there, and what happens the deeper you get into the onion? It's more weeping and more tears and more sorrow.
More sorrow. Damn. All right, so last couple of pages, last paragraph of the last page. And I guess they kind of wrapping it up. Now, I want y'all to see this picture too, because Brother Danny asked me earlier if I thought that there were, let me turn this off so I can actually show it. He asked if I thought that there were He asked if I thought that there were above.
I want to make another proclamation about what you're showing there. Right? But the actual person on the left is the colonizer, and the one on the right is a melanated man. But the actual melanated men that actually were from the Congos and the Zulus were actually 6'3", 6'5", with muscles ripped all the way down to their toenails and everything else. And looking at these people with such a thing in their eyes that couldn't shake them or shiver them in any kind of way. So they had to go figure out how to get something to deal with that.
So that's for anybody that thought that we was just laying down and acquiescing with what they was putting on top of us. Not at all. We wasn't with it. So last paragraph, for example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops. And the slavery is what our crops really meant. So you have to be careful in setting up new language, for the slave would soon be in your house. Talk careful is death to our economic system. In addition, the definition of words or terms are only a minute a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of the language. King always tells us, because communication rules the nation. A total society has many interconnected value systems. All these values in the society have bridges of language to connect them for orderly working in the society. But for these language bridges, these many value systems would sharply clash and cause internal strife or civil war. The degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of the issue or relative opposing strength in whatever form. So when we get all this pushback from our brothers and sisters, we can understand that the majority of the time it's out of fear. They don't want to accept Christ, not because they can't believe that a brother would be Christ, but they so afraid of turning their back on the Jesus that was given to us that they frozen in that current state. I want to believe that we can do this, but I don't want to go to hell from turning against this wicked system, because we know that the wicked system don't play. It'll take you out. You put your name on that petition, you're gonna be on the list.
Shock causes a form of acute stress disorder or PTSD right off the bat. It's a trigger. You know, the belief perseverance become real. It becomes a trauma because they love God so much. So they have did exactly what's in this letter. The love that we have for God, they have used it against us to enslave us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that's why they made examples like, you know, they unalived people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X because they look like us and they look like they were standing up for us. So that's another way how they put fear into us. Like my brother man said, just a petition, we're just asking for a signature. We can go and do this with Yarju Judah. But it's the fear.
So look at the example they give. Oh, they're so dirty. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there and incorporate in him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would worry about provisions to keep the hog pen clean or partially clean, or he might not worry you at all.
It goes back to the ghettos.
And more you read this, it shows a similitude in social commentary, so you can see how the novelist was influenced by the Roman Catholics to do the Bible. You can actually see the terminologies and ideology of their way of thinking to enslave us also to the book in reference to what you're reading from there. You can see how their minds work. The swine and the pen, and you can see all this in the goriness of the writing in the Bible when they depict us and try to make us worship their form of Jesus.
Yep. So the last paragraph of the book, page 28, it's only 28 pages. I encourage anybody, you know, with the funds or whatever, go get it. It might be free online or whatever. But to wrap it up, good old Willie Lynch told the people, on the other hand, if you put this same slave in the same hog pen and make a slip and incorporate them for something in his language whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen, you got a problem. He will soon be in your house. So we in the master's house right now. We ain't satisfied with the clean pig pen no more. The clean pig pen
Fighting on
is no longer suitable. And you know, again, this is a short read. I think it's very powerful. You know, I think that there's the fact that it's called the will of the lyncher, that it's attached to the will of these people that oppress us, is pretty prophetic in my opinion. And you know, what Brother Man is bringing to the table through the scriptures and through a revelation of the historical, the things bringing us into remembrance. It's not a long ago history. This is a recent history. By him doing this, this is reminding us of our value system. So, you know, check out the website, yajujudah.com. Read the declaration, read the petition, listen to the saints, realize that we not playing, we real witnesses, and we growing stronger by the day, man. So, you know, with that, I'll land, and I yield the mic, but I just want to say, you know, one love to the family, peace and blessings. And, you know, I agree with you, Arch. I'm going to read this again and again and again because they shut me down earlier saying that I did something wrong. And then as soon as everybody dispersed, they let me have my live access back. So I know that what we're doing right now is hitting the right nerve.
Is the you just gotta watch the N-word, that's all. But the thing I really noticed is the title. It's transforming on me when I say it. Like the Will Lie letter.
Yes.
The Will Lynch letter.
Yes.
And the last one that hit me is the will of the letter.
Come on, man.
This is the will of the letter. This is the will of the letter. This is what they got, because when they took our scriptures, when they read into our wisdom and our knowledge, they put it versus theirs. And they're carnal and we are spiritual. This is them forcing the will of the letter on us.
And replacing our language for their language. Our language is spirit and truth.
Crazy.
And I just want the people to understand.
That was the similitude I was speaking of with that correlation. You see that? It's all you can see the devil for exactly for what it is, the manipulation right there with the Willie Lynch letter and how the Bible's written, how they glorified the crucifixion and everything. They made everything. It's just crazy, man.
And I just want to say this is why they don't like what's being brought out, what Yajujudah is bringing out, all this truth, all this information, because he's bringing back the true image of God. And this is why the devil's angry. But it's not going to stop.
Stop until we do something about it, until we stand up like we're doing right now. That's when it's going to stop. And this is the time of the awakening. If we don't do nothing about it, it's going to continue. And we'll continue to be brainwashed. And we're going to continue to let our babies, our offsprings, be brought up and raised in this brainwash. You see, and that's the idea. The cleansiness has to come from cleansing the earth entirely. So the deception has to be removed regardless, no matter what. And the old ways have to be done away with, and income out with the old comes in the new. Wear the same underwear over and over again, right? You know, without them properly being clean. You know, so the garments have to be fully washed and purified and sanctified, as well as the allegory understanding of a tabernacle or a church or a tree. The sanctification process is all the same, just allegory for cleanliness.
I just hope people were listening to what was brought out, though. I just really hope people were listening, because the truth is there, man. The truth is here. This is why we're all here gathering. You know, the information, the website, the declaration, the UCC one. Like, the time is now. But like what my brother man said, if we don't come together and do something, this is the same thing they're going to be pulling on us. This Willie Lie stuff. The lynching of our people.
Ah, man.
Did y'all see that comment right there, y'all, from Christian and some temples? Please address it. Why y'all talking about a Christ if you done with the old tradition of men?
I feel like, you know, certain questions like that, man. On one hand, I want to answer. Then on the other hand, I'll be feeling like, you know, you don't even really deserve a response to say some stuff like that, because that's just a sidestep to logical thinking.
The significance of how this is weaved into the origins of our nations being built up in who we are, how this letter is weaved into our culture, this letter is weaved into our upbringing of America and as a people. This letter is proof of our psychological position. This right here, we could take down a lot of things with this letter alone as a back reference.
Yes, Brother Arch. That's what I was going to say, though, brother. It's mind-blowing. I just want y'all to know that this connection between the two is really mind-blowing. So whatever they have to say, that's just a distraction for them to get us off of what we've been discussing up here, y'all.
Yeah, like there's no way as I would think as a black man or woman that you can hear these things and actually be able to see it, even in real time. Some of the language triggering even us in the moment as we reading it. No way that you can experience that read and that be your response to it. Like you literally don't care about what we talking about if that's all you got out of that.
It worked.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to address it. The footstool that needed to be made for those that's actually reading a silly comment like that, to see an example of how our people are actually exactly what the letter just explained, and how we've been tamed and genocidally put against ourselves and weaponized against ourselves and to our own people. That while they're thinking we just been sleeping, our people are unaliving for the lack of knowledge.
Man, that's them crossbreeds, huh? Dumb, backward ass, long-headed mules. The book is telling you why you acting that way.
So telling you how you was forced into acting that way too, brother.
Why you love the narrative of what your colonizers give you. All the religion and everything, they have manipulated your mind frame to accept their colonized ways. That letter, it simply gives you a blueprint and a diagram and walks you through how your brain fucked.
This is actual record of probably one of the world's biggest and first psychological wars.
And the saddest part is that some still can't see it after all this information that's brought out. Some still won't see it.
The secret war is the psychological war. The one that happened we know nothing of. That's affecting the entire world. Crazy.
Yep. And then we can put this on the shelf and break out the Bible and pull out scripture after scripture that align with everything that we saying. That's the ill part, is that it all lines up, because like he said with what's the dude they said discovered America? Columbus. And he actively was trying to act out the things that he was reading in the most demonic way. So you could see in this book, because even in the beginning, he says we was floating down the river James of the name of our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish. So he letting you know that it's tied together.
Exactly. All of it's tied together, even down to the education system.
Oh,
Because all of it is designed to oppress us. So when they say, oh, they built the country off y'all backs, oh yeah, they meant that shit literally. The system was to suppress us. That's why we ain't gonna know. You'll never see those hands that's moved. But now that Christ is on earth, they gonna be like hell, bro. They gonna come out. That's what's going on. Because what's going on now has never been done. That Emmanuel generation.
Woke, brother. Y'all do have woke us up, brother.
And what's so cold-blooded, I just like the more I look at this from a spiritual standpoint, this man said, as our boat sailed south on the James River, even just that, with us dealing with water as information, and you talk about the perversion of scripture from the language of a spiritual language into this cardinal language, the boat sailed south. As the boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, that's showing you how that information that was given to us from the Most High was taken from the on high southward to this cardinal root chakra level on the King James Bible. As our boat sailed south on the James River. And then they ask us, what did y'all do?
Sail south on the James River? Is that what you said, my brother? That's cold.
What it said right there.
The watered down information.
As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish.
Wow. Plain as day. We gave you this book, you fools, you backwards manipulated size donkeys.
Oh, I mean, it solidified Yaju even more, bro. With the stuff what he be saying, bro. It's like stamps. It's being stamped, bro. Ooh. The word is being stamped. It's so solid. It destroys everything. This is amazing, bro.
That's what happens. The ego blinds them. They want to be so right. And out of the fear, they don't want to be wrong. So the ego steps into place out of the fear and gives them that deflecting, those excuses, that not coming into the truth, not coming into the light.
And wait, hold on. This is the okay. I'm gonna just read that little paragraph. It says, let's look at this from a purely spiritual, as saints, from a purely spiritual breakdown. Because I would just love, because he mentions Rome too, which, as the more we talk about Yaju and the prophecy and the things he brought to light, we judge in the Roman Catholic Church, right? So again, as our boat sails south on the James River, named for our, that means that he's acknowledging the king. So somebody mentioned earlier that this was probably coming out of Europe. As our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highway in great numbers, you here are using the tree and the rope on occasion. Unique. This Willie Lynch to King James, the King James Bible, and Rome, all in one sentence, real swift.
What?
And everything that he talking about, this is the prelude to him talking about how to treat our people. This book ain't about nothing else. So he's tying all of these loose ends together for Yaju tied the loose ends together, but he's validating everything that Yaju has brought out in one paragraph to show that this was all of it was around how to deal with us, how to take us out of our natural state and make us a commodity.
And that's why I feel like the letter itself is like, all right, the letter itself is entrapment too, just like the Bible could do to you. It can mess you up, because if you read this and you try to use it to trace back all the origins and say, oh, they want to remove us from like the color of our skin, it's not about the color of our skin, really. It's about that spiritual understanding we had. They wanted to make us have a physical, carnal understanding instead of a spiritual understanding. They wanted to hide that from us, because our true identity is the whole world's true identity. They hid our true identity. Our true identity we got by knowing the Father. Yaju just saved us, y'all. It's lit.
Yeah, we supposed to read this and get mad. We supposed to read it as black men. We supposed to sit up here, read this from a carnal standpoint, and get pissed off with no solutions, no real plan of action, but just to get mad.
Ignorant. It's a trigger. It's a trap. But we so smart.
It feel like an instruction. This letter, if feel like instruction where you purchase.
Yeah, instructions for certain people.
Instruction with it.
For certain people, though, the people that they was meant to give this to is instructions. But if it falls into someone's hands like us, it don't become instructions. You see?
It's a tool, a blueprint to social control. These faulty council members, this is how they come up and devise all these plans. And that's why when people talk about, oh, y'all, they got an army, they got this and that. It didn't take a whole army to form what they had get done. It started with this first. Then the war flexed their power to try to socially influence people to show that they were great. They had to show another mightiness by force. But all the other espionage came from things just like this thing that the Willie Lynch letter is implementing, and the doctrine of discovery, the faulty council's agenda and their hidden plan.
Shit, what's so uncanny to the Bible and what shook me too is like, why'd they say 300 years? This is symbolic. Like, that's not just a random letter a random number pulled out the hat. That's beginning, middle, and end. That's symbolic 3. That's for the whole time, the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's symbolic to 300. That they really never planned on us.
Hey, check this out. Who did Yaju say that Tudros' story was connected to? What movie?
Shaka Zulu.
Think that's a coincidence? Wow.
So is this dude British? Because if he's British and he's sending this to the Americas, then they was in cahoots with each other the whole time.
Power from the European power had the power first before Britain took it. So you have to see the transition of authority. So this is a time of things that was already taking place, that this letter symbolized another way for the Western way of thinking, that we are already dealing with this type of colonization in Africa with the French, the British, and the European diaspora. You see, so it's showing you right there, you can see the transitioning of power and what part of history that they actually had this authority. If you really see that this was a Britain person exercising his authority on how we can do this with Western way, with the Western. You see what I'm saying? So we can get a kind of time and date to see when the British actually was exercising this letter and how they pertain to this letter at a point in time in history. All you got to do is look at the power when the British came into power. And you can actually see that things already were taking place before that. So we have a lot of blanks and spaces in between history and modern day history that are being not connected because of the colonization.
And I think one of the biggest strokes of genius that they ever did was the War of Independence, to make us believe that somehow the United States was no longer connected to Great Britain.
See, that's what I'm saying.
You heard, brother?
Orbs,
Sorry.
which take you back to the little floating orbs. Was this all something that they just put on to really colonize us in that manner? Because keep in mind, they teach us about these things in school.
This is a step-by-step breakdown. Is a step-by-step breakdown of a spell, just like the Bible, and we don't know it. These spelling words are exactly that. They vibrate and they create our reality. They captivate our mind and they project that this is a spell, just like the gospel, just for real.
It shows the association tied to when Haile Selassie gave up the crown royal British crown. Remember, British didn't get fully empowered until he got that crown. So you have to see a transition from the European army and their movement, how they were empowered first. Now, when this had to be in a transition in a power shift, when Britain was going into power, and Britain like, we're going to show you how it's going to get done, my brothers. This is the way it's going to be done. You know, and so that's the way they did to the, because in order to understand it, you have to see that this was European was already in influence and power with slaves in America. So Europeans already had the social influence and power source at that point in time before the royal crown was handed over. Then it came Willie Lynch. You can only see it just by the method of power and shit. So you can see that the Willie Lynch letter came when the British got the royal crown in their hand. They had to have the actual power in order to influence this type of influencing on everyone else, as if I'm the big dog now. You know, and this is what we can do better to show you how to do your things. You see that?
And what's cold-blooded about that is we know Haile Selassie, he ended slavery in Ethiopia in 1942 when he came back from Great Britain, right? So when he went to Great Britain for that 5 years, cold-blooded, to have royalty of the crown, but it also could have been the methods used in the Willie Lynch. It could have very well been the methodology in this book to enslave
them. You're right. I got you. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because somewhere in this book, remember, Willie Lynch was like, according to the experts,
who's tidying up the chaos?
Yeah, brother, man, I brought you up to listen. You know, it's not really a you know. So I don't know if you got any
This
questions.
is glorified unitedness of men.
Oh, creepy weirdo.
Luciferian.
Let's not judge so quickly.
No, it sounded like he was saying something positive. It's just
let's not judge so quickly. Let's find out where
Let's all get along.
I've spoken to this brother a few times though. I'm just letting the
Should we all get along?
you know, so
Oh, okay, for sure.
that's why I was
Come to my house.
Why
I'll
is-
cook you a meal.
What?
Yeah, Benjamin, you got any questions about what was brought up?
What are we arguing about?
Yeah, listen, bro, I'm gonna drop you because you know you're coming with
What is he talking
your
about?
illusions now. You know,
What is he
we're
talking
about a
about?
very important topic. So yeah, brothers, continue, man.
Okay.
But no, that was all I was really saying is that, you know, that Solomonic gift that he handed over might have been the working components of, you know, a slave trade and how to properly, you know, to be able to take that and use it. Because again, if the people that they talking about enslaving on the Americas was coming out of Ethiopia, slave trade, that would make a lot of sense. So you're going to use an African king or the Solomonic gift information to learn how to enslave his people on a different continent. I'm just saying.
You're right. After removing us from captivity, because remember, Ethiopia slave trade ended after America's slave trade ended.
Correct.
Could have been the last call of the slaves or the last remnant of, because they was the only ones legally still enslaved, doing enslavement. So that's where the last blacks was coming from.
And I'm seeing why Ethiopia thinks that they're not colonized. But you have to understand, if your king gave away the majesty and came back and, you know, stopped slavery, like my brother man said, it was all a game, it was all a trick. You know, but you are colonized because he gave away the majesty. This is why there's no Solomonic dynasty established right now. This is what Yarji is doing.
They dethrone a king and put a deity on the throne and put their wisdom and their knowledge and their conquering and their spelling words and their brutality and all their crime to represent the seat that Christ is supposed to sit on. It's like now when Christ goes sit on this seat, they have put so much dirt and so much filth into the transition of God's children that it's going to take the righteous people of God to create a righteous order that will psychologically do the righteous thing to these people. By the same sword they used on us, it's the same sword we're going to use against them. And the methods that we're going to use are going to be righteous methods that's going to get rid of the bad things that they have done with the abuse and the psychological dysfunction of our people.
He tied the removal of the crown with the removal of slavery. They psychologically believed that the crown was their slavery.
Believe it, they knew it. We were the kings and queens of the earth. We had the power and authority. We showed our mights by the riches, resources, by everything that we do, by the beautiful women, our culture. Our culture was, they envied us. They were envying us so much they wanted it for themselves when they were already having existence of bartering. I mean, not bartering, but trading and bartering, you know, and doing trades with each other. They wanted it all. They got greedy.
The craziest part is that the slavery didn't even start here in Atlantic. It goes back to the kingdom of Axum when they trained up and sent out the Moors as indentured servants who helped save their the Moors came from Ethiopia, from the kingdom of Axum, by the way.
Kings were reigning. They were sent back, come up with a faulty plan on how together, all these different ones, the French, the British, and the European, all these different sectors of individuals at this appointed time, we're watching our might and our glory as they trade our resources and made deals with us for our resources. They were coming together how to overthrow our king and get all these things for themselves. This is why it's a faulty council's plan and a hidden agenda. This is the blue collar crime and the white collar crime that has been identified by their actions. The Willie Lynch letter and the Roman Catholics indention of our prophecy so only symbolize the truth and the facts of slavery and them building up their kingdom off of blood, sweat, and tears of our people illegally. Everything they've done is an act of piracy, espionage, and Victoria's big secret.
Plot. It was a plot against humanity, which is making me feel like the people who did this were not human. What were they? They are not, like, think about it. We are not in the flesh, but in the spirit. They are fallen spirits, bro.
Beast. They're the beast. Spirits. That's the bottom line.
Officer. Excuse me for messing up this word, but it's from Pittsylvania, country, Virginia. He claimed to
in the Revolutionary War, right?
Yeah, he claimed to be the source of the terms lynch, law, and lynching.
But you got to remember too, he was still saying our king, King James. So if he, so that little piece right there is very telling. Even if he was in the Americas, so honor the King Charles or honor to the Queen, like that's not even normal American language, so to speak. So at the very minimum,
he was a military person, right? Am I correct? Is that what y'all saying? He was a military individual, right?
Yeah, that's what it said.
Correct. And when you're part of the military, you're moved all parts in different angles and different ways of the world, correct?
Correct.
So therefore, if he was military and he was honoring the king and queen, when he was military, sent out as what they call that, explorations. They did a lot of explorations to do new charted lands. It was a power trip for everybody to gain power. So the most largest power to have was the Solomonic dynasty. By taking that over, you wanted to be able to take over all the other lands to make them part of their authority. So this is a power shift of the kings who are actually fighting over power and authority over certain regions, and who will deal with it and who will have what. And so they will go through these things and these changes to try to find the charted lands and overthrow as many as the indigenous people that they came across. So you have to see it from that perspective also.
I feel like they would have tried to keep this kind of information like locked away in Vatican. Like this is the result of someone wanting to break away from the British. Is like a British officer who did espionage and got information, was trying to pass it on to other Americans, like we could build like them, like the British. Like he left the British and wanted to build his own thing because he was in the American Revolutionary War. He was fighting to, I guess, colonize America or to make America his own, like to establish America. And he had the blueprints from Great Britain on how they did it to other people. How did he get it? Espionage, probably spying. Stuff that they do today, why the CIA was formed, why the what they call it in London.
About that is if we look at it from another perspective, from another angle, if they stole the ideology of these things and utilized it to manipulate the Americans to being who they are and to follow their ways, that's even more crazier, because then you can understand the fall of America and how this place has people sitting in position. Maybe the espionage went even more deeper than that here. So you got thieves teaching thieves, manipulation on manipulation. And then so that means that's why you have so many different secret societies in part of this nation, because you have the same concept of the thievery. They're teaching each other how to steal from themselves, from each other, because they're power tripping over who's going to have what. I hope I didn't confuse y'all, because that's very, very deep what you just said a minute ago. If we look at it from that perspective, if it wasn't just tied to the Willie Lynch, to the religious concepts and so on and so forth, and this military guy said he learned these ways himself, and he came over here and taught the Americans, right? And got involved with this and empowered and put himself in position. You can see the secret societies. You can see how things are divided and how people here are all being crooks upon crooks with each other, backstabbing each other for power. That's all up to the highest seat. That's what you see in the nations. You see it amongst everything. That's if you look at it from that way. But I
got that conclusion because I'm a philosopher at heart. So I always ask why. And like, what would be his motivation? And when I looked him up and saw he was in the Revolutionary War, I'm like, his motivation was to do what he could have done in Great Britain. He could do it here and build an even greater or bigger empire. And
yeah, exactly. So this guy probably has a huge position in America too, right? To overthrow America and make sure they generated a lot of wealth to get themselves in position. Because you got Rockefellers, you got this, you got all these different families of wealth, right? And he probably was one that actually implemented a phase of wealth and figured out a very persuasive way how to take over America itself. And by helping Americans do what they need to do, his whole idea was to overthrow America. Now what's happening now is that Britain is in power, correct? So is this soldier still was part of British Army, or did he act solely on his own? That's the question.
I think he was a British Army faking to be American, and he was in the American Revolution and helped build America. But this is like hints at the espionage, like this is in America's roots.
So what makes sense to me is by what we're reading, it sounds like this individual actually was sent out to do so, to overthrow the Americas fully and to show their power and might, because they had the Solomonic gift. British was the ones who had gotten it, correct? So if they received it at this time, these adversaries were adversaries, you know? And so in order for British to take over, because remember, British, the power was in European hands first. Great Britain took over from there. Now, I know y'all say that they all the same, correct? But they have been divided in the house of power and seats, the blue seat and the red seat in the office. So to understand the shift of power, why British was how they overthrew the Europeans, because remember the European hour, you had the blue coats and the red coats are coming, the red coats are coming. You know, so we had this shift of power that happened. And that shift of power came when that Solomonic gift was given to Britain. And so with that coming, the Willie Lynch letter had to come prior to after that, or was being thought of before that as part of the plan. You see, to go show their might to the other European, to show that we also have this, and we also can show you a better way. We are much better at what we do to get more power, you know, in their influencing, in their social influencing. I don't know. I'm just going off of the conversation we had today, just kind of looking at it from an intellectual point.
I took it. You know what? To add on right quick, because that when they show that first Bible that was supposedly wrote in, was it 1911?
1611.
It was supposedly written in 1611, but when you really look at it, they done turned the 9 upside down and all this other stuff. As I'm looking at this page, this first page in this book, here I'll show y'all, because you know the visual aid kind of helps. As I'm looking at this first page in this book, if you notice this picture, it's not a steamboat, it's a sailboat. And one of the things that King has tapped into many times on panels is that in order for them to really pull off the type of transatlantic slave trade that they spoke on, they would have needed something more efficient than a sailboat. So the fact that they saying that this book is from the 1640s or the 1619s, it could be the same as that Bible, where they basically done turned the time on its head to release this information in the 1940s, which would put them right in the Haile Selassie time, because he ended slavery in Ethiopia in 1942. I'm just saying.
Perfect, because this is what they got from Ethiopia. They got information, how to control us, how we operate. They reverse engineered it probably. They probably reverse engineer our cure to make a disease in the form of literacy.
Because in 1940, our people wasn't reading and writing in mass like that. You know, it can't be a stretch that they would take a number and turn it upside down on the Bible to tell a lie. And that's somebody like Willie Lynch tell the same and support the same lie.
Right, big bro? Time is ever being colonized, right?
Ooh, facts.
All of it's tied in together.
Lynch was trying to prove that he could build America as great as British, as the British Empire. He tried to pass this letter around to other people to help him build America up and use us as the groundwork to do it. They use us as the backbone to build America up to be strong.
Well, that's how they took over America and made their position in British power become Great Britain. And that's why old Great Babylon the Great shall fall. And that's why the Europeans had no choice but to sign to a sovereignty and treaty with them with how the power shall be shifted. And the power comes, they made agreement for the power to come from the people who actually pay taxes. So you will vote these positions. You'll either go Democrat or Republican. And according to the power that is being divided is the seats in the House. Both Democrat and Republican deal with two different issues. So this is how they get their bank flow. So if you're a Republican, you're going to get your money from this standpoint. If you're a Democrat, you're going to get your money from this standpoint. And depending on who holds the House seats is how they get paid. I guarantee that's how it is, bro.
It's all built on corruption, and we know the root of it too. That's why the importance is knowing where, you learn from others' mistakes. So, and you also see how the bad people work and how to catch them next time. So we just learn. This is really good to learn from and to build around. We could reverse engineer this for greatness.
Yeah, because we can't forget that the root of this is these were punishments for our disobedience. Regardless to what orbit in the vacuum they actually use, our current situation was as a result of the disobedience of our forefathers. So just like you said, the thing to know not to repeat is the fact that we turned against God when we was at our height. You know, so when we get back to our height and we get back in our natural state, this time we know to keep the Most High in the forefront. And I think ultimately that's the takeaway for me anyway.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit that's the whole idea of our punishment, of being at the footstools of our enemy, and God allowing us to go through the suffering that we have been through. And this is very important for those who are listening, who are these Christian believers, to understand how this suffering was going to take place, and what order, in which way, and why we must hearken to the one's voice right now and come together.
Amen.
Might be the only way out. This is the only way out, period, from what I'm reading.
All right, this the only way, bro. This what was written, and we doing it. We part of it. That's why we here tonight. This the whole purpose, and we letting the world see how we gonna deal with situations like men. Because remember what King said, we didn't tell the lie. They told a lie. So they know. But see, we got everything what we need to figure this shit out and to keep pressing forward. We got everything that we need.
Only way down that narrow path is one person at a time. They still have to go through that one person.
Wait, Brother Troy.
That's the distinction of the test too. You see, the final test, after you go through the trial, tribulations, the colonizations, and then you fall through all of the fight from the devil attacking you all your life. Well, when you come to the before the Spirit and you meet Christ, your last and final test you got to pass. You know, you go through all the works when you're in school, then you got that final test to graduate. Well, the final test to graduate is for you to be able to put those things aside, to put those things out of your temple. And when you can't do that, then you show the fruits of your spirit and how far your heart is from God.
Yes, sir, Brother Fred. Yes, sir.
You got the glow. Yeah, I remember Bruce Leroy, the song "The Glow." That song is in my head because it's about the power of elevation. I just
Yeah, I remember.
I know.
I was just watching that.
Oh, that was my favorite movie. You know, I'm a Bruce Lee fan. And when they brought Black Bruce in on Bruce Leroy, nobody could, sure enough, couldn't even handle him, boy.
To the song, like I listened to the song on YouTube by itself. The soundtrack song is very, very interesting with a later hair, like later years on later, like just hear that man with a spiritual hair, with a spiritual ear, fire.
Well, brothers, I got to get ready to go to work, but I couldn't ask for a better edifying conversation with a better group of men. You know, like I said, as far as with me, with this Willie Lynch, this is something I think I'm gonna keep on reading into the new year, just because I didn't even expect for this type of reaction from this. I wasn't planning on reading it, but it's needed. You know, and hopefully, you know, if y'all thinking about it, maybe think of some Bible verses that'll be good to incorporate with it. You know, obviously, when I go live or whatever, y'all welcome to come and join in with those verses or whatever. And we just gonna keep it moving, keep supporting our King, man.
Hey, for now on, I mean, honestly, with this whole movement, what we have, that has to be a forefront to show the validity in a lot of the claims that are being made. Because see, people want so much miracles and evidence. Well, here's the miracle evidence of understanding. These things shows your connection to things that's still reality and not your vain imagination or how you feel or what you believe in. You see, this is something that actually shows evidence that connects to actually what we're doing and what we're actually against. And it also shows you the type of people that we're up against. So I think you're right with scriptures and constantly, you know, showing a correlation, a whole breakdown of scripture to go along with the Willie Lynch letter, to show a breakdown, to bring forefront to prophecy and how it applies now. It would be an excellent thing to keep on reminding these people when they decide to think that they pro-black or really love their people when they don't.
Yes, sir.
It gives a good the Willie Lynch letter gives a good eye. It makes me want to turn the eye towards dang, just the name on the Bible. Dang. King James. It makes me want to look into King James, his conquest, his rise and fall, and everything about him.
Yeah, so that's the whole idea, man. Is this is let's just keep building on this idea and keep it in line with the king and the prophecy, and just drive it home, man. Because I like I said, for me, I've read it before, but now I'm reading it with new eyes, with circumcised eyes and ears, and then to see the visceral reaction that it's having with my brothers as well. I couldn't have really anticipated that reaction, but it just let me know more people need to hear it. So, shit, one love, brothers. I stand with y'all in solidarity.
Yeah,
One-
peace, brother. I appreciate you for coming up and bringing that out too. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, peace, brothers. Too, I want to introduce. I don't know if you brothers have met LV3. I met him yesterday. I don't know if you lot spoke to him already, but he's been very humble brother, very keen. Signed a petition yesterday, and he's been watching ever since. So yeah, my brother, this is the other family members that I told you about. If you ain't been introduced.
Yeah, nice to meet all of you. It was great conversation this evening. So thank you very much.
Greetings,
And it's
brother.
nice to listen to other people like-minded, and yes, I think the letter we just read this evening, it could be the key of understanding and unlocking new ways of life for us. So yeah, thank you very much anyway, guys, and yeah, keep the good work. I've signed the petition, and hopefully we can get to the result that we want.
You feel about what you received today, brother? Do you understand who the Messiah is and really profound by what we're doing with y'all Judah, or are you just coming into this truth?
I just came across this yesterday, so I'm not fully
okay. Well, based off of what you heard today, the over prevailing evidence that was just so vital for our people to understand. What could you say about today in the association of the things that were played and what was discussed? It
resonated very well, and I can now fully understand. I think I thought before I knew how things went down, but now I can fully understand, like, this was engineered to really keep one side of a race to never rise, and I'm beginning to process it now, and it's quite,
a deep, honest, good swallow. The horse pill is hard to swallow, but you swallowed it. That's good. Hey, that's a beautiful thing. And so now we just let the medicine kick in. It's a pleasure having you up here, brother. Peace and blessings to you.
Blessing to you too, brother. All right, guys. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of internet now. So I hope I'll meet you guys anytime soon. So thank you very much for the conversation.
Peace to you, brother, man.
Blessings.
Peace, brother.
Yo, I was looking up King James just now. He was king of Scotland, Ireland, and England. The 1500s.
I'm mixed with French, Italian, Irish, Black, and Indian. That's my bloodline through my grandfather. My grandfather's cousin was Pope. His name was Pope. He was the 13th president of the United States. Was my distant grandfather's, my mom's dad's distant cousin, great cousin. Pope. Look him up in history. He's the one who led the army to take over California from the Spanish during that time. saying that in relevance to the ties and how we've been scattered and how our people have been scattered. And the bloodline is what recognizes our connection to one another and how we know who we are. Genealogy does not connect us to biblical understanding, but connects you to the motherland, to how you were created. This is the only role that genealogy plays, with showing the existence of life in the pyramid strategy of life, from the strongest gene to the weakest gene, how it was produced. And that's it, and that's all. It has have nothing to do with tied into nothing else, although people want to make it be tied into to genealogy, the Bible, and so on and so forth, but it doesn't. Genealogy only identifies us and where we have actually been, or our grandparents have actually laid down and humped with, bottom line. And so when I got French, Italian, Irish, back in Indian, it only shows that down my bloodlines, my great grandbrother either had a white husband or a black husband, or had, you know how it go. And so that's how we get divided. But remember, one drop of DNA, of melanated blood, everything is melanated. And the way that we multiply is like the stars in the heavens. The seeds of who we are on earth, the righteous people of God, when we get this information, will display that same genealogical effect, but only from a deeper spiritual meaning. We will multiply like the stars of heaven when this truth is given to God's people. And then so once this happens, then we will have the earth back in our dominion. It ties the genealogy only in that aspect, not to identify. It's just showing the power of the people of God and the people that God loves, and that's humanity. Because all things, no matter if you're the largest genotype or the weakest genotype, all evolve from that genotype. Doesn't matter. But one thing we do know is that's relevant is that it was a melanated man who made you. So that means we're all connected together no matter what. So at the end of the day, it's about unifying now and getting the people who are injusticeably running our country and ruling the world right now out of pocket. Get them out of office. Get our children's future out of their hands, and have a nation that will represent our people in a righteous way and also worship God in spirit and truth.
Well said, brother, man. Well said. That's the whole point, and this is why we're up here. Is to unite and to gather our brothers and sisters. So again, just a reminder, Yaju Judah is the website to go to find more information and to, check out the petition, the UCC1 and the declaration. That you might think is a simple thing, just, putting a signature, but that's going to bring us together. And that's going to get this done a lot quicker. But with or without you, this is going to be done. This is going to be done. It's already happening, and we're just waiting for that day, that hour that not even Christ knows. But it will happen. But yeah, peace to the family, man. I appreciate you for coming up too. Much appreciated.
Oh yeah, anytime, brothers. We're here for each other.
Blessings, brother.
Peace and blessings to the family.
Fact, brother. I'm over here doing research at the same time because I'm looking into the 1611 Bible coming from London. So I'm like, how London printing Bibles in 1611, like where they got it from, I'm looking into next.
Go back to what the brother AI was saying. They playing Pokemon with that with the dates, brother Arch.
Yeah, and it's in scripture. You're gonna change times and laws, It's actually
You're right, but they you can't tell a lie without a little bit of the truth. So once they mention certain things, I don't look at the dates really. I look at the people and the events that's happening to see where it came from. I'm like, how do they have a Bible in England when the Bible came from Ethiopia? And I'm like, they definitely changed the dates. I know that for sure, but I feel like you see how the Quran is in India. I mean, where's that? Is that India? That's what you call it, where the Islams live? Islam. Where's Islam big at? India?
It's like I want to say Somalia, but around the east.
All right, in that area, the Middle East, I'll call it. You know, that's where they at.
That's what I was going to do, just to make it. I mean, because I really don't know that answer either.
Like the Quran, the date on the Quran is something like, is it matching up with the Bible? I want to see that difference right there, because it talks about Isa, talks about this prophet, you know. So, and then I'm like, this goes back even further because of Helios Biblios. And I'm like, man, they had their hands on this information so many times, but where does the root of it? The root of it is Africa and Ethiopia, and we know that because
Say it should let you realize that it's been tainted, you know, as far as the day goes, because if they all, you know, actually pushing out, you know, it's false right there, you know, brother.
Want to know what's so crazy, or how I know they didn't change it? Because it's the literature, the way it's written, is entrapment. Like, if you don't know what you're reading, you'll never understand. So the way they read it, they liked it. They didn't understand it, but they liked it because it was like carnal.
Okay,
The
I
way they
missed
read
that
it.
first statement that you said. I missed that.
The way they read it was carnal. So when they got their hands on it and stole it, they didn't change it. They like, oh, well, drink flesh, eat blood. Okay, let's leave it like that, and just told the story how it was. They didn't have to change it. They didn't understand it. If they understood it, they would have definitely understood it.
And so, like you say, they're making it corner. I get what you're saying, bro.
Trap. The scriptures is written like that. Like, if you have the spiritual understanding, you'll catch it. If you know what the heater in the pocket is, you'll know it, that you'll get the message. But they never knew it. But a heater in the pocket sound like torture to them. So they're like, yeah, let's keep that. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. And which it is written that way though. Cause you, like you say, you can't unseal it no way. Only the Lamb gonna be able to unseal it. That's how God side it up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're right. They
saw
could
the power. When they read it the way it was, they saw the power it had over our people, and our people had power using it. And they like, well, this is how we found it. Let's leave it the way we found it, because it got all the power in it the way it's written. So when they translated it and explained it, they did their best, but they got a carnal understanding. I believe they bend a couple of words to make their carnalness make more sense, you know, but I don't think they could remove the message of God, because it's virtue. You can't teach evil without revealing good, and you can't be good without knowing what evil is. The two reveal each other. You know what I'm saying? So by them doing evil, we know the opposite of that is good. You know what I'm saying? And the book is like showing you, this is right, this is wrong. And that's where they went wrong, because they didn't see that eventually people would catch on that the right thing is what to do, not the wrong thing. They want us to be in love with the wrong thing and keep in love in the flesh. And they programmed everything around making us do that too.
Yeah, it goes back to the devil deceived the whole world, you know. This is what he done. And
I was trying to say, when I said, oh, what's responsible for this? I said, it's the spirit. Is the spirit of the devil. This is the devil's works. That's why Enoch mentioned the writings, the fallen angels that gave mankind writings. See, God didn't give us that. He gave us the spirit, the voice.
So what is the one thing, brothers, that they missed, that we know that they missed by doing what they did with the scriptures and the colonization? What did they miss out of that that they didn't see that was going to happen to them?
They didn't see that the spiritual information would start manifesting in a people that will relate to it. So they didn't know that there's spiritual information in this, and the people going to catch on and do the spiritual. They didn't see the prophecy. They missed the prophecy. That's why they try to just what this mean? I don't know. Put it. They start naming places after it. They start performing events that was in the book to confuse us, to make us feel like it happened.
Okay, that's fact. That's true. I can go with that. But the one thing that I think that they missed is they didn't think that they was gonna be colonizing their selves, their people too. If that makes sense to you. Out of all the thing that when y'all was reading, I was reading the Willie Lynch letter. That's what I got out of all of that he actually read, that they didn't think that they was gonna be colonized. They colonized us, but they didn't think that their people was gonna be under their umbrella.
Well, think about it. They did know, because they experimented on themselves to perfect this before they even got their hands on us. It's like if you don't agree with their understanding, then you're not their people. You get what I'm saying? It's not a color or a race thing, it's a mindset thing. You know what I'm saying?
I get that. I get it.
So they people is the people that are here that want to keep that Willie Lynch letter like they need to go follow the directions on it. That's they people.
All right, I get you 100%. I want to say that I didn't mean any color or race. I meant their people. I'm glad you cleared that up, brother. Yeah.
That's what I thought right away, because I used to be racist. So that's the first thing I thought was like, oh, it's them. It's their race versus us. No, it's their spirit versus our spirit. It's the spirit of wickedness versus the spirit of God.
Right. Facts.
In the mind.
I just be listening a lot of times, and like I say, that's why y'all see me. I be a little quiet, because I'll be trying to, I know y'all, a lot of y'all are, bigger readers than I am. And at the end of the day, the knowledge that my brothers bring, I mean, it makes my mind grow. And that's why I listen and I try to eat from y'all, I know I got to get it from y'all, Jew himself, but I mean, we all, got what he gave us. So it helps me grow within what we need. So that's why I'm asking questions, Brother Rock. Don't think I'm just, slow, and then I'm just.
I ain't thinking nothing about it, baby. I respect my elders. You asking questions because you want to grow spiritually, and that's all I want to do.
Yeah, I gotta be with my brothers. We got to be on one accord, and that's why I be with y'all and listening, brother.
Yeah, them questions be good too, brother, man. This is how, we bounce off each other. And,
Facts, brother. Facts, brother. Okay, facts.
This next year is going to be a really good year for me, y'all. Yeah, the numbers are lined up.
Yeah, you gonna be able to make that move to Atlanta?
That my wife graduating this year, and I think I'm gonna make that move to Atlanta. I already got my paperwork in.
Great, brother. I just be glad when everybody be able to come together as one, under the throne. That's gonna be beautiful, brother.
It's just practice for going to Africa, because I'm going to Africa.
I want to go too. I may not plan on staying, but I do want to go. I do.
You mean to Atlanta, Dre?
Africa, the motherland.
I ain't. When King them get on the vote, a flight or whatever we get on, I ain't looking back at this damn nation for real. And not unless we got to come over here and actually do, create, the government here. That's
I had like a little vision of us doing like an exodus. Like we go set up the government, we doing good, we build in a couple of months in, and then boom, like a surprise, we come back and we got planes, we got boats, and we just going into the communities of America and calling the people out of it and giving them a one-way ticket to heaven, and whoever want to come. And that's what I saw.
Yeah, I done lived a little longer than y'all, brother, and I was raised in the country. So, I mean, not that it's any different than the city. What I'm saying is, like, I deal with that oppressor stuff, like one-on-one, like, and I know we all under, but what I'm saying is, I'm just saying that I got a little more personal to it, and I deal with all that racism and type stuff, man. Man, I'm telling you something. I ain't gonna have no kind of nothing about losing that stuff, man, to be able to free my mind, you know.
Yeah, I really do, brother Troy.
And if I don't make it, at least my grandbabies and my kids will make it, man. You know, they'll see the nation, you know. They'll be able to live under God's nation, you know.
It was weird because racism played an in and out in my life. It got really bad when I was in my late 20s and I was trying to raise a family and I just felt suppressed by the system, the white system, and I just blamed it on the white system. I looked into, that's when I learned about the Willie Lynch letter. I learned about slavery real big in my 20s. And then like coming into my 30s, I was still really racist. And I bumped into a fellow that they actually locked him up. His name is Rashad Jamal. I was listening to him and I was just getting even more racist then. And it's like so much hate was hidden in me, but I was such a nice person and I wanted such good things and I'm a humanitarian, but this hate is inside of me that's like, and it's tied to racism. So the weight that was lifted off my shoulders when I spoke to Yaju and learned about the truth. When I got the truth, what happened to me was extraordinary. I started to grow exponentially like that. That weight was holding me down, that racism, like to where I couldn't think about things straight because I was depressed and angry deep down, and it was tied to thoughts about racism. But now I don't think about racism at all. So my mind can do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I get it, but you got to also understand what lands we're in. You can't never ever forget about, you know, or either, you know, say, well, or be blind to the fact of it's right here in front of you. So, you know, I mean, you don't have to do the hate part, but don't forget, brother, you know, you are a strong black brother. You already know how that is. You know, they don't want us to be strong. They want us to be weak. They want us to bow down to them. They want us to do all of this.
I see it more as like healing for myself because I don't want to be angry racist. You feel me? I still
And you don't
the situation, and I'm not a teddy bear.
Right, exactly. So you don't have to be weak to the fact. That's how I am. And a lot of times, like when I was talking about the cops getting behind you, man, I deal with them eye to eye. You know, first thing I do is I assault my authority to let them know, even if I am unalive, you just not gonna treat me like shit. You know, you get what I'm saying, brother? I mean, it's just like if you be to live like how I have in this country, especially being in the country part of Texas, brother, in the South, man, it's like, you know, you get to deal with that racism stuff just straight up, you know, face to face. So, and I don't hate, man. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't hate no race, brother. You know, I love all people, man. But you know, but my dislike, should I say, for people that are racist is just, it goes hand in hand, should I say? You know.
Right, exactly. It does go hand in hand. That's why I'm so happy I met the King and got healed because I needed that healing, man.
Right.
We all need it.
Brother, you ain't the only one, man. It's places in my mind that the King had woken up. God had actually, you know, Yaju and King both had woken up that I never knew that even existed. Man, it's just so much knowledge up here now. It's like, man, like whoa, like what in the world's going on up in my head? You know, I'm having these spiritual wars in my head, brother, if that makes sense to you.
Fact, man. I love y'all, brothers. This is great. I can't wait to be in the kingdom.
Facts. Yeah, brother, UK, it looked like somebody was trying to come up here.
Yeah, I just put him up, but he just dropped down. I don't know what happened. If you want to come back up, brother, you can come back up, have a conversation. But yeah, brother, man, I was listening to what you're saying about the racism too. Even the people that's racist, they've been colonized too, because a lot of them are in the same conditions that we are too.
That's what I was telling brother Archer earlier. They didn't realize that they was gonna colonize themselves, you know. You know, and I ain't just talking about white tea people, but man, I know around here where I'm from, it's a lot of them just, man, they live in the slums too. It may not be the ghetto, but when I say slums, brother, I mean they live off the rivers and they live down in these low areas where, I mean, they on top of each other, you know, I mean, they just live bad, man, you know, so that's part of the you know, being colonized though, brother UK, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same over here too. You know, there's all different levels, and it doesn't matter about the skin color. This is why this mission, this government is for everybody. It makes sense, but this is why we got to look at it for what it is, look around us and see that we need a change and then come together. Because like how my brother man read about the Willie Lynch, you know, it's affected all of us. But when this is established, this is when there's going to be a new world, the new kingdom. This is what we're building. But again, you got to, you know, empty that false information that we was told by man and hearken onto the voice, like how it's written in these books. It's the same prophecy talking about the one that was going to be anointed by God. Yarju Judah.
That's the only key out of this colonization. The only key out, y'all.
Christ is the door. Christ is the doorway.
God's order. God in order. Only way out.
I just love Yaju passion that he have for people, man, that even come on to do the things that they do to him. You know, they be crucifying him just right there on stage with him, man, you know. And I just love the way he's able to have an interaction with people that actually hate him, you know, like and even after the end of the conversation, he'd be like, you know, okay, my brother, peace and love to you, and keep moving, man. That's now, if you can't see that that's love within itself, brother, I don't know. I don't know if people really able to even open their eyes or be uncircumcised to see that love, brother. Those are the things that when I be watching him, I be like, man, he just so passionate about, you know, the movement and about the love that he have for people, man. It's like, I don't think he could harm one single person, you know, unless I guess maybe, you know, maybe if his life was being threatened. But you get what I'm saying, like. But as far as just intentionally, you know, coming against somebody to actually hurt them, I can't even see Yaju being in that position, brother. You know,
Look like he never was a bully.
Facts.
Sure. I don't even know for sure, but I'm gonna make sure I ask him.
yeah, man. You know, hey, go back to what you always talk about, though, Brother Rock. You know, that's a corner question, I think, that, you know, wouldn't even have nothing to do with the spiritual side of him, you know, because we all in been in fights, you know, and we all have been. I don't know about the bully part, but you know, I mean, if you're not a man, you ain't a true man if you ain't haven't had a fight through your life, you know. Let me change. Let me change that, because I can't say that. But I'm gonna say every man.
Man, if you ain't never had to fight to protect nothing, you ain't no man if you ain't never had to fight to protect nothing. You need to experience it. For real.
And that's yeah. And it teaches you how to fight for something, you know.
Situations, life is your biggest teacher. It'll show you. Now you gonna fight or it's gonna let this happen. You know, mama getting hit and you're a little boy. Stop hitting my mama. You start busting out fighting, or you gonna go hide under the sink.
Nah, I never was one of those ones that hid, Brother Rock. I was always the one that stood up and fought, regardless if I got my ass whooped or not. I was gonna fight you, brother, to the end, you know. So
Genetic.
I think that's, you know, I ain't gonna say I know for sure that's what Yaju is when it comes to that. You know, his fight it's beyond the physical realm, you know, it's spiritual, and it's definitely he ain't giving in or giving out, even if his life is, you know, it depends on it. And that's how we all should walk the way he's walking. You know, if our life depends on, I seen somebody said something was on one of the things talking about what we give our life up for. Y'all, you damn Skippy. Why not? He giving his life up for us. So, man, that's a dumb question to even ask, you know?
It is a dumb question, brother.
Fact.
Because
That is a dumb question to ask.
like, I mean, like I always say the same thing. Like, what are you mad at? How can you be mad at somebody that's standing up for you, for us, for your? It just doesn't make any sense. But then again, reading that book, what we just went through, it does make sense because you've been colonized. Your mind's been colonized. This is why it's the renewing of the mind. But if you don't want to get rid of that information that man's told you, that's keeping us in captivity, how are you going to see the kingdom of heaven? This is why you're not listening to the voice. But if you don't want to remove the deception, I think we got a guess.
Shalom.
Peace, brother.
I just wanted to comment on that. Would you sacrifice yourself for the Yah? Because I've been listening to you guys for the past 30 minutes. The truth, you guys are telling the truth. You got to remember also back in slavery, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but just go with me and try to understand me. When Harriet Tubman freed the slaves, of course it had to be Yah who's guiding her to free the slaves. But also with that said, for the ones that wouldn't give their life, because there is a lot of people that probably would not give their life for the Yah, especially if they don't believe in it. But they also, I was learning about it through that history, that they had to kill off some of the people that was with them because of the slave masters that was behind them. So they wouldn't tell the slave masters, where they were at, or as I should say, the people that was running, coming after them. And those are the people that was, I forgot the name of the story, but they was fleeing towards the sea. But before they got to the sea, I think the young man turned around and asked, because a guy had put it on him and turned around and told him to ask, if you are going with us, you got a choice to make. If you can cross this river and go into new beginnings, and you don't know where you're going to go, or you can stay back. And for the ones that hesitated, it didn't answer that question right away. It didn't keep running. They stopped and hesitated. Those are the ones they had to kill, because those were the ones that would have betrayed them, if I'm not mistaken, if you're following the story and understand what I'm saying. So there is some of our people that do want freedom, but there's some you probably gonna have to cut at the end of the road or the middle of the road, because those are the ones that's gonna tell, or they gonna be iffy. You either gotta be all the way in, or you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out, 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in spirit. So it's like you gotta be.
We agree. You gotta be all the way in when it comes to following Christ. You can't be lukewarm when it comes to dealing with any kind of spiritual thing, dealing with Christ. So yeah, I agree with that. You gotta be. You just can't have no hesitation, because if you have a hesitation, you're right. You could be unalive. I get what you're saying. I get completely what you're saying.
Yeah. So just to answer that question, like with someone, I give my life for y'all. I give my life for Jesus. I give my life because the way he gave his life, the way God gave his life for us, of course, yeah, I'll give my life for him. But a lot of people wouldn't do that. So when you say, that would be a crazy question to ask, or a stupid question to ask, actually, that would not be a stupid question to ask, because that's where you will find out who will betray you.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. If you pertaining to a disciple of God, it would be. Because you have to.
But even the disciple who it was in the story, because I read my Bible, it was one that did betray him, though. Even one of his disciples betrayed him.
Hold on, Thunder King. Don't go so fast. Now you made a statement that he gave up his life for us on the cross, so we can have eternal life. He gave up his life now.
Right.
Now, think about what you said. God brought him into the world to be the light of the world, to give up his life. Thunder King, do you even know what Christ even nailed to his cross?
Well,
And
technically, it
wasn't-
was they
and
hung
it
him
wasn't-
from a tree. It wasn't nailed from the cross, but the
Hey,
cross was the.
I get that. I'm with you with that, right? I get that.
Again, I did some research.
I'm with you. So, what was hung on the tree?
The body of Christ. Don't judge me, but that's what my understanding is.
No.
If the blood was dripping.
I get it. This is why we use scriptures, right? So this is what it means to understand it. Christ nailed the ordinance and the writings to his cross. Do you know that scripture?
I heard about that being in a Torah, but I don't know that specific scripture.
It's okay. He nailed the writings and the ordinance to the cross. He wasn't nailed to it, nor was he hung on it. Again, these are representations. Now, the representation of what was nailed on the cross was the things that the world was transgressing against God. Can we agree that what was nailed on the cross?
You got the Bible verse on it?
Yeah, we can pull it up. Can someone pull up the Bible verse that I just mentioned, or do I need it? I need it, Brandon?
Yeah, I think it's Colossians 2:14-15.
You said.
I need it, Brandon.
So the CHRONICLES.
COLOSSIN.
Okay. I got you. Okay, I'm gonna go to that right now. Yeah, I sleep with my Bible right next to me because sometimes I be waking up and I get right to it, get told,
Chapter 2 and 14.
Okay, you said chapter what?
Chapter 2, verse 14.
Verse 40?
14, 1-4.
1-4? Okay.
Okay, and I'll read it. Okay, this is I'm going to read 14 through 17. And it says, blotting out the handwritings of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us. Again, these ordinances that you read in the scripture, they were against you. But a lot of people, when they preached it to you, they never told you that the ordinance and the writings were against you. Why? Because you're not supposed to be the one that's supposed to be teaching it. You're not supposed to be the one that's supposed to be looking on it. But let's move on. And it was contrary to you. And why was it going to be contrary to you? Because the one that was going to fulfill it was going to come in the end of days. But we'll get to that here in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. And it took it out the way, nailing it to his cross, and having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or drink, or in respect of holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are shadows of things to come, but in the body of Christ. Do you understand what that was saying?
Wait, hold on. So my Bible was saying different. Hold on. So you said Colossians chapter 2, verse 14?
14 through 17. It's the same thing. It might say
I have the NIV.
Meaning, big bro, it don't matter. We can use the KJV, bruh, NIV. Okay. You know the KJV and the NIV is the same book, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it's the same book, bro. I don't even know how people take the KJV and the NIV
And turn it into an international.
we'll bring up scriptures. Now it's different because now y'all have to deal with the truth. Now, Thunder King, I want you to pay attention real close, so you don't lose yourself, because it seemed like you already did. It said, "Let no man therefore judge you in meat or drink, or in respect of holy day, of the new moon, or of the Sabbath day." Do you understand what is that saying, bruh? Let's just say yes or no, so we can move together forward. Do you understand what it's saying? Okay, so if you don't understand what it's saying this. He nailed it to his cross, bro. The ordinance and the writings that you read in the book. So how do you read something and he nailed it to his cross and took it out your way? That would be food for thought for you right now. Then he did all these things, right? For what? So now no man could judge you on new moon or the Sabbath day. I thought the Sabbath day was on a Sunday for y'all. So the only time y'all have Sabbath is only a few hours on Sunday when you decide to wake up and go to goddamn church. The way y'all even attend Sabbath is goddamn weak. You should even look at the way you attend Sabbath and call yourself out right now. This is why we bring stuff out like this. So ask yourself, and please be honest if you can answer this question for us. How the hell do you have the thing that your Jesus Christ nailed to his cross and took out your way? How the hell are you reading it right now if he took it out your way?
And we gotta understand people different backgrounds. So I came from a 7-day Adventist. I wasn't raised in Baptist. But so, you know, you got to be easy on the brothers and sisters too, because we are coming for the people that's woke. I've been woke since 2012, since high school, but I was also in the world. So I can admit that as a man, I was in the world. I was of my flesh. So I knew there was a God. I knew there was a man who died on the cross, but I didn't believe in a Jesus. I was in 50% on the Jesus thing. So what I'm coming into my spirituality more and more and more and more. So you have to respect that I'm even in search of, because there's people like in my generation they don't care. So I'm finding this out. In spirit, I done had spiritual things happen to me since 2019. So I do know there is a God. I do know there is a Holy Spirit. I do know that there is a God that came down on earth and let us know. So I'm not stupid. So God has been revealing stuff to me, especially you talking to a praying man. So I pray to my God. So I know that their God is
we know
real.
you were going to say all this, Thunder King. Again, you said you was woke, but you still searching. That's not being woke, son. You woke. You still searching, but you know the Sabbath, but you still searching for it. We already know where you at. This is exactly why we bring out the scripture. The scripture said you would be in the darkness like you are. You would be going back and forth. This is Daniel's vision, right? This is exactly what you would do when you would hear the truth. Scripture. You really thought you had it. We just read a scripture to you to let you know that what you've been reading, right, was not for you. And if you truly believe that he already came for you, you would have been honest and been like, man, that's correct, because it's in the book. He did nail it to the cross. So I should actually consider what this gentleman is telling me. How the hell am I still reading it? If my Christ Jesus nailed it to the Christ and took it out the way. So you not woke. You dead to the world. Just like you said, but in the same breath, you say you woke. But in the same breath, you say you dead. See, this is what double-minded really sound like. But no one told you this, Thunder King. Of course, I'm gentle with you, brother. I'm gentle with all of God's children that come up here and try to pretend that they know God. It's your moment. You said you wanted to know God, Thunder King. Guess what? God rolled up on you like a thief in the night. How more gentle is that? Did you expect God to give you a pedicure? Maybe a massage when it comes to this truth. See, for us, the real angels, we didn't need a pedicure. And we didn't need no goddamn massage. All we needed was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the Holy Spirit, bro. And if you don't have the whole truth and nothing but the truth about God, guess what you got? The pretending spirit, the deceiving spirit, the spirit that Christ Jesus is going to destroy. Remember King David destroyed the devil's doctrine? Remember Jesus was going to take away all these things away from you and he nailed it to the cross? Just ask yourself, if he was a real story like you said and he came down and did all this fantastical stuff, then why the hell you still stumbling and bumbling then?
Hey, yeah, 1 second, Thunder King. I want to just say something to you before you speak. You know, don't be emotional and just remember, never become the enemy. Not saying that we are enemies, but if you start to view us like one or anyone else after this conversation, if you view anyone as an enemy, don't become them. So just know that we having a conversation with you and we speak rough, we speak tough, and we speak to the angels of heaven. And if you are fortified enough to handle the conversation, you know, then that's just how it should go. Please heed my words. Peace.
Yeah, Thunder King, just let you know, man, you sitting with your family. We love you, but we also know where you at versus where we at. We ain't trying to drag you to this. God don't ever try to drag anyone to anything. I think you know that to be true. So God is here, just like the Moses story, just like the Noah story, just like the Jonah story. And every time God sends someone like this, we always deny the person that God sends. That's very important to know right now.
And before you say anything else, Thundercat, that's why I told you I would die for him.
See, you got brothers and sisters right now that will testify to you that the Holy One himself has come on the earth as prophesied. Now, again, if he came already, then and did all these things, then again, it would simply, the fulfillment would have been fulfilled, but that stands out. He didn't fulfill anything. So that should at least give you some type of, you know, notion where, well, it couldn't have happened if the prophecy wasn't fulfilled. You're right. Because he's the fulfillment of the prophecy. He ain't going to fulfill 2/3 of it, half of it. He's the fulfillment of it. Again, ask yourself, why didn't he fulfill it then if he came? If he was the light of the world, are you telling us that the world got darker after your light of the world came? This is the real one. And when he comes and take your transgressions away from you, your sins away from you, it's going to be for good, Thunder. Okay? No more pretending. No, I can keep on sinning against God. No, you cannot. When God takes something away from you, that means it's taken. You can't take it, you can't take it back. When God destroys something for you, that means you can't undestroy it because you got free will. Okay? Let's stop pretending. This is the real angels. These are the ones that was going to come to you in the end of days. Remember what you said? Oh, I know God all this. You've been saying that because you've been praying on it. Your prayers are just like ours. This is why God came to you. Again, God comes to you. You don't come to God. Did anyone ever tell you that? It should make sense to you. You don't ever come to God. You don't come to God's house and knock on his door. Whoever told you that?
How to guess to reflect a little bit. I know it's a lot, Thunder King. We displayed the meal. Are you ready to eat?
I want to say, bro, when I woke up, bro, I got out the bed, brushed my teeth, and put my boots on. Got to work. I wasn't just laying there, woke. And that's what my brother Danny telling you. You ain't woke. But now you done bumped into the real ones. And we're going to let you know. We ain't going to let you go the wrong way. But shit, you got to do something too. You got to listen, bro. And you got to take heed and ask for understanding. That's the major thing. Ask for understanding, bro. Because just to show if you're a child of God, God gonna lead you in the right direction. You just got to take heed to it.
So y'all don't. So you did. So y'all go by the Bible. So you seem like y'all Bible thumpers. So there is also stuff in the Bible where he said he's going to make a new covenant.
Yeah,
So explain that. Then.
Sorry, brother. Just before you go on, I know you said my brothers, it wasn't a Bible. We didn't give you a scripture. We were just talking right now, telling you truth. I just want you to understand that, but we don't mind going in the scripture too.
I like speaking from the Bible because that's what I like. I like to hear from the Bible. I got my Bible next to me. So if you're not, that's how I learn. That's how I intercept the truth. I'm only listening from the Holy Bible, not from a man ideology or how he feels the Bible is speaking. I want to know what the scripture is saying. So if you can point me to a scripture to support what you're saying, then I will follow you because it's coming from that Holy Bible. If it's not coming from that Holy Bible, then I don't want to hear it.
Okay, well, Thunder,
Hold on, brother Dan. Hold on. You ain't heard nothing my brother said. Not one thing, brother. Not one thing that brother Danny has told you. He just told you, brother, that Yaju. Well, he didn't say that. He said Christ was here on earth. That's what he said. Can I get a yes or no from you? Did you hear that? Thunder? Can I get a yes or no?
I'm in the process of getting my nephews because I'm babysitting, so I'll be right with you guys afterwards. Hold on, let me go get them. I gotta get them settled in. But thank you. I'm gonna keep continuing to listen. I thank y'all for the.
Okay, yeah, just come back when you get some time, Thunder.
Yeah.
It's important. We make note. We brought up a scripture to you. We did.
You also told him that Christ was here on earth. I don't know how you hear them.
Yes, sir. And he heard it, Troy. He heard it very clearly. Most people, they hear it, and we emphasize the reason why it don't strike their ear because this is what they mean about being spiritually deaf. You're gonna hear the word someone speaking to you, but you're not gonna hear the understanding. You won't hear clearly God speaking, but you'll hear a man speak, but you clearly won't get the understanding nor hear God.
There was another thing I wanted to say too, as far as that goes too, is when he say die for him, I also have died spiritually. You get what I'm saying? For him, So I don't get where when you ask those questions, like where they're coming from with that,
Yeah, and then on top of it, I wanted to explain to the brother that you want to dive right into those books, those scriptures, because you say you hear from the book, but this is the problem. The letter unalives, but you wanted to go straight back to the letter. You said you hear the letter talks to you. The letter unalives, the spirit gives life. And this is what my brother Mandani was trying to explain to you, that Christ is on earth. The only way to the Father is through the Son. So you say you're woke, but the only way you could be woke by knowing the Son. Because you can't go in a book and put your own interpretations on these scriptures. That the book that you believe in tells you these things. The book is sealed. The book you believe in tells you these things also. So for you to be woke, you would have to know the Son of Man.
Yeah, how do in one breath someone say, I know God, but in the same breath will ask you a question, what's the covenant? I want to know about the covenant. The only thing I know anything is when I have a Bible. If you knew the Spirit, you wouldn't need the Bible to know anything. If you truly knew God and the things that he did 2,000 years ago and came back, then you wouldn't be asking about the covenant of God. It stands out, I hope Thunder, you listening. I hope you do come back, and have this conversation with us. God is calling his chosen people right now, and it's very important that the ones that's supposed to hear it, come to the call. I mean, obviously it's prophesied y'all gonna come to the call. Y'all been coming to the call. It's, you know, we're gaining our numbers every day. This thing can actually be over anytime, any day now. It can be really over, but we're gaining our numbers every day. More and more people are starting to be more aware of what this gospel really is versus what they thought it was or what the preaching was. Because it's very clear. They just have to hear it. Even the ones that deny it, they'll wrestle with it. And we see that. People that deny it, if they truly deny it, would they come back here every day if they truly denied it? No. This is how you know the spirit is cold-blooded. Think about it like this. If you denied something and you know it's not really true, would you hang around if it's not true?
No, that don't
We
make
got
sense.
something to do though. FYB.
Yeah, and that's a point. Why do they hang around if it's not true?
Yeah, I know,
If
brother.
it's not true,
I'm just making
well,
I'm
why
just making a
do
joke
they
out
hang
there.
around? Right?
Oh, man.
Right? For
You're
real.
right,
It's
brother.
like, come on. Like you know, if there was a bag of money and it was fake, if you know it's fake, you looked in it, oh, it's fake money. You ain't gonna take it home and count it, will you? I mean, fake money. I mean, you gonna take it home and count it? Fake money now. See what I'm saying? Like, why would you? I mean, maybe you just want fake dollars and you just wanted to count it. Not saying it's far-fetched that you wouldn't, but would you, knowing it was fake, knowing it was just pieces of paper, would you go home and count it like real money? No, I hope you wouldn't waste your goddamn time.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. What you gonna do? Make a fire out of it because you can't do nothing else with it. Sure.
Right. Why would you even count it? Shit, just throw it in the fire. Just keep yourself warm. Like, it don't even make any sense, man.
And to the real men in the back, it's just like going to get a real woman and going to get a sex doll. Now you know the difference in the two of those. Oh.
And they be so quick to say, hey, I know the spirit. I know the you do? You know the spirit. So why are we still asking questions if we know the spirit? If we know these things has happened and we have salvation, then why are we waiting for it if we know we got it?
They can hear the spirit and they Christ consciousness state, I guess.
Right. They say these things and they don't catch themselves when they say it. Okay, you didn't catch yourself when you say it. Now we catching you. Think about what you say. You saved, but you waiting to be saved. You got it, but you still asking questions about things you supposed to have.
Well, Danny, one thing about it, when you do hear it, brother, I'm a witness to say you can't get enough of it, brother. You can't run from it because it's gonna grab you, you know, when you hear it, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like it grabbed all of us. Like we're living testimonies to that. That when we heard it, it grabbed us like no other thing. No, that definitely grabbed me out of my goddamn slumber. And I honestly really thought at the time I wasn't really that asleep. Shit, it showed me I was really asleep, man. I really thought I was, you know, kind of like some of the people that were saying that they were woke. Now, I didn't know how woke I was. I would never say how woke. But I thought I was at least woke. Shit, not woke at all. Far from being goddamn woke. And that's the humbling thing. And I didn't understand how after you've been told and shown that you haven't been woke as much as you, I didn't get mad. Actually, I got real happy. I said, damn, At least I don't gotta pretend to be woke no more. I mean, I can be really woke. That's better than pretend.
Feeling, brother, that really you can't even I can't even describe how it feels, brother. It's just it is nothing like it, brother. Got a bunch of walking deads around here. They just walking around like that movie, The Walking Dead, just ready to get their heads chopped off.
Yeah, and a lot of the time they're cutting themselves. A lot of the time they cut themselves because if they just came up humble and just had a conversation, you might, grasp it. But when you come up fighting, man, we already know what's gonna happen. We already know what's gonna happen. You're not gonna see this truth. So yeah, man, just humble yourself when you come up and just listen to what the saints are saying. Check out the King's videos. Because this is a new song. This is a new song. This is what you gotta understand, that this ain't gonna be what you want to hear because you've never heard it before. You've never heard this before. That's why you got to come to God as a child.
I know we was talking what AI brought out about the Willie Lynch. I hope we do that another night. That's dope. That's a dope topic.
Yes.
It's something that we need to go over again. I want to play Benjamin Banneker. A lot of people don't know who that is. Benjamin Banneker is the one that actually kind of created. He didn't kind of. He did. He created Washington D.C. and some other things as well, right? But he actually was an activist as well. He wasn't just an inventor or someone that created buildings and statues. He actually was an activist. And I wanted to play an insert of what he said to the president and the leadership at the time on your behalf. Again, the Willie Lynch was, as we see, was created around 1640. This is the same date that they give you as so far as discovering the Americas in 1642. So at the same time, this book was going around, the Willie Lynch letters, that was going around. And I emphasize that Christopher Columbus was actually one of the people that were actually using the Willie Lynch letters. I mean, obviously, if you know any of Christopher Columbus' background, you can see that his playbook is from the Willie Lynch letter. I mean, obviously, he was in the slave trade. Some of the things that he did was god dang terrible. So I'm going to play this Benjamin Banneker.
Blessings.
All right. I mean, his little thing is about 15 minutes. If you want to hear it all out, just let me know. I was just going to play the insert of what he said to the president. But if you want to hear the whole real quick 15 minutes of who Benjamin Banneker is, we should all know who he is. These are people that are very underscored and very underplayed, but they are the people that should get credit in helping formulating what you call the United States. These are the true founding fathers and mothers, the ones that really created the United States, the cities, buildings, innovation, stuff like this. But we don't get credit for none of it.
Yeah, well, brother, man, I've not heard of him, so you can play the whole 15 if you want.
Okay. Yes, sir. And remember, y'all, this is a brother. Now, this is a brother, okay, back in the, say, 1600s, okay, 1700s. He was the one that created, actually, DC, how it's laid out, the structure, all of that. This is the man. So I'm going to play, this is Benjamin Banneker.
No one contributed more to the building of America than the Black man. By the works of their hands, labor, ingenuity, and suffering, the people of color made the Americas great. Although the American and world educational system does little in recognizing these contributions. However, in the annals of American history, few figures embodied the spirit of ingenuity and resilience quite like Benjamin Banneker. Born in
And this is 1731, he was born, okay? Now, Benjamin Banneker is just one, okay, Negro man that helped create the United States. We just want to emphasize that. We just want to not just tell his story, and there's a lot of other stories that we're just telling one. There's others that haven't been told, just like a Benjamin Banneker, okay?
31 to a free African-American family in Maryland, Banneker emerged as a polymath whose contributions spanned astronomy, mathematics, and literature. Notwithstanding, his most enduring legacy may well be his pivotal role in the design of Washington, D.C., the very heart of the nation. As the young country sought to establish a capital that would reflect its democratic ideals, Banneker's remarkable intellect and vision would become instrumental in shaping the city's layout. Despite the racial prejudices of his time, he would not only challenge the status quo, but would also leave an indelible mark on the nation's capital. This exploration of Benjamin Banneker's life and work reveals not only the brilliance of a man often overlooked in the historical narrative, but also the profound impact of his contributions to the very foundations of American democracy. Join us as we delve into the life of this extraordinary individual and uncover the genius behind the design of Washington, D.C. But before we proceed, do not forget to support our efforts by hitting that like button before you. Share with your family and friends to keep spreading our eye-opening Black narrative, and kindly subscribe to stay tuned in for more informative stories ahead.
You can reach out to us on that one.
Now to the story of the genius behind the design of Washington, D.C. Benjamin Banneker was one of the first African Americans to gain notoriety for his work and study. He was born on November 9th, 1731 in Ellicott's Mills, Maryland, to Robert, a freed slave from Guinea, and Mary Banneker. Mary was the daughter of an English indentured servant named Molly Welsh and her freed slave, Banneker. Since both of his parents were free, Banneker escaped from the clutches of slavery. Living on a 100-acre family farm with his parents and 3 sisters, Benjamin had grown up in a stable home where he was able to develop into a learned young man. His grandmother, Molly, taught young Benjamin how to read and to write, and he attended a Quaker school for a short while. Yet essentially he was self-educated and an avid reader who spent a lot of his time borrowing books. As a young scholar.
Now, I don't want y'all to get lost. I want you to truly understand what this man is saying about Benjamin Banneker. He was a free Negro. Not no from no slave class. Forget what they talking about. His mama was no, she was not. God dang it. I'm tired of goddamn lies. They were free. God damn it. when they came to the United States. Had nothing to do with slavery, god dang it, at all, period. And this is the goddamn 1700s. Let's get the goddamn story correct. For once in our life, let's tell the story with the truth.
Banneker showed great aptitude for mathematics and science. He would often study the stars and at some point would develop a passion for astronomy. One of his early accomplishments was constructing an irrigation system for the family farm. After his father's death, Banneker ran his own farm for years, cultivating a business selling tobacco via crops. At the age of 21, Benjamin met a man named Joseph Levi, a traveling salesman for the family farm. He became so fascinated over the watch that Levi gave it to him to examine its components and how they worked. He drew a picture of it, made mathematical calculations for the parts, and worked on building a clock for 2 years. In 1753, the clock was completed. Banneker produced the first wooden clock ever built in the United States. It was made entirely of wood, and each gear was carved by hand. News of the clock created such a sensation that people came from all over to see it and the genius who had made it. As a result, Banneker was often asked for assistance in repairing watches, clocks, and sundials. The clock made by Benjamin Banneker kept perfect time, striking every hour for more than 40 years until it was destroyed in a mysterious fire. Interestingly, the Banneker Inc. Watch and Clock Company would be named after the 18th century intellectual. This company pays homage to Benjamin Banneker by integrating luxury woods into every watch and clock design. It is one of the only minority-owned watch and clock companies in the world today, and the first company to produce timepieces with the Banneker name in over 200 years. Benjamin Banneker timepieces are original and unique while remaining on the cutting edge of style and fashion. All of the products include information about Benjamin Banneker's historic accomplishments as a way of educating and informing. However, Banneker never stopped pushing himself to learn new things and new skills. He was on a never-ending quest for knowledge. During the Revolutionary War period, a family of Quaker brothers, the Ellicotts, moved close to Banneker's farm to build their mill. The two neighbors formed a friendship that introduced Benjamin to astronomy. One of the brothers...
You mean Negroes owned farms back in the day? You mean we wasn't just planting goddamn cotton and shit? You mean we own actually farms? No one didn't tell you we own goddamn farms here, did they?
Did that just say the Quakers got him acquainted with astrology?
Yes, sir. Like, you know, the neighbors and shit, like, you know, like you having tea and you just cutting the shit and there's some just new philosophy you just want to come over some dinner. Yeah, that's what they meant. That's what they said. So all this shit about the funny business that every Negro that came over here in America, you was just under a goddamn lock, chain, and goddamn key. They lied. They lied to you.
God.
I mean, damn, didn't y'all follow the Booker T. Washington and the Frederick Douglasses of the world? Ooh, the Bannekers of the world. Look at this shit. We just make a note of it, y'all, because they always give us the narrative like every nigga that came over here, we was all locked up. They lied. You was here way before Christopher Columbus, way before, and you owned all the land over here. You had farms and shit, man. Farms. You was doing good. Let's go.
George Ellicott was an amateur astronomer and lent Benjamin the necessary books and telescope to acquire proficiency in the science of astronomy. Banneker went on to accurately calculate the positions of the sun and moon. His aptitude in mathematics and knowledge of astronomy enabled him to predict the solar eclipse that took place on April 14, 1789. In 1792, Banneker would begin publishing an almanac that would be widely read and would become the main reference for farmers in the mid-Atlantic states. It offered weather data, recipes, medical remedies, poems, and anti-slavery essays. This almanac was the first scientific book written by a Black American, and it was published annually for more than a decade. However, Banneker's major reputation would stem from his service as a surveyor on the six-man team, which helped design the blueprints for Washington, D.C. Before then, Banneker's preoccupation with scientific matters in no way diminished his concern for the plight of Blacks. In August of 1791, Benjamin Banneker would send a draft of an almanac, which he was readying for publication, to Thomas Jefferson, the then Secretary of State. He felt compelled to include a personal note, which was a 12-page letter where Banneker refuted the statement that blacks were inferior to whites. Banneker quoted the famous preamble to the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and said plainly that he was disappointed in the hypocrisy of Jefferson, a slave owner. These were some of his words.
But, sir, how pitiable is it to reflect that although you were so fully convinced of the benevolence of the Father of mankind and of his equal and impartial distribution of those rights and privileges which he had conferred upon them, that you should at the same time counteract his mercies in detaining by fraud and violence so numerous a part of my brethren under groaning captivity and cruel oppression, that you should at the same time be found guilty of that most criminal act which you professedly detested in others with respect to yourselves.
Jefferson.
This is a letter. This is something that he actually gave to Thomas Jefferson and actually told him on your behalf. It ain't like the Negroes at that time didn't know the conditions that other Negroes was facing. Again, most of us didn't have a perspective that we had other Negroes, free Negroes that had land all this shit that was watching you get goddamn messed up. No one never told me we had other Negroes have other Negroes as slaves. Never had that. Never was told that. I never was told that niggas were actually plantation owners. Somebody been lying on purpose. So it ain't just the European white man that had these things and doing these things. Again, there was some shit that wasn't told to you.
Like that's connected to the boule, the bourgeoisie.
Yep, and it goes back to the Willie Lynch, because they talk about, again, the mule as per se versus the Negro. The mule that was always inserted, it was more or less of them talking about people that maybe look like themselves. That, again, it was a classism. It wasn't really about, obviously they use a reference to your blackness, but it's about classism. I hope people understand that. So they reference this, say, horse or this mule versus this Negro. And this is where the mixing of blood, their blood mixing with their blood and them keeping you at like a workforce. See what I'm saying? This is the Willie Lynch. To keep you in this servitude for 300 or forever. You see how they executed it. So they even know when they did this that they were going to even do it to their own people. This is why it's classism. We might struggle with the thought of it being racism because that's a social construct. Obviously, it was created for you to struggle with it. You know, it takes you away from really identifying what they truly identify you as, and it's a classism. It's they class you. I mean, you're not even a donkey. You're not even a mule. They even recognize you in their verbiage that you're not even an animal. You're less than an animal. You're something else that they mix with what they consider an animal, a mule. And you know, we are just talking about people. This is their allegory way of just saying it's just people at the end of the day. So again, I emphasize the mule is their own people. Jackasses, where do you think they get that at? Why do you think in the, how can I say, the political realm, when you talk about Democrat and Republican, now you understand where they get the donkey at? The ass. You're not even considered the ass. You're considered something even less than the ass. This is why they said it, and this is why I'd love to, you know, when we go over those, it's a great. I won't say it's a great read. It's not one of these things that, you know, it's a great read, obviously, but if you don't read it and understand it, well,